A Prophet of Thought series exclusive.
Prophet of Thought.
Get ready.
The Prophet of Thought series.
Peace, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Prophet of Thought series right here on the old T.P.O.T YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why you are here. Tonight, got a special show for y'all tonight, boy. Tonight's gonna be good. I got quite a few interviews tonight. I'm interviewing some very, very interesting personalities on here tonight. I know I build it. Y'all look on the, if y'all look on the title, y'all will see that it says double header right here. But actually it's going to be a triple header because I was just in contact with Brother Taz, so I'm going to have him on too. So tonight we're going to have Brother A-M-1. We're starting off with Brother A-M-1, and then we're going to be interviewing Brother Gab Talk, and then right after that we're going to be interviewing the infamous Taz, as people refer to him as. So tonight's going to be heavy. A lot of heavy hitters on tonight. So hold on to your seats for this one, folks. It's going to be a rough ride. First of all, before we even start, y'all know, like I always do, I want to thank you for your donations, because I did get a few donations last Thursday night. I actually got a couple donations yesterday as well. I want to thank y'all, all of you who donated. You know who you are, because I always sit down, like I always say, I sit down, I write you a personal email thanking you for your contributions. And I actually, but those of you who follow the Prophet of Thought series, y'all know this is how I do things. I actually sit down, write you a personal email thanking you for your contributions. You know, when you do it through the PayPal, when you do it through Super Chat, your ass don't get no email, because I usually say good looking when you do it. But when you do it through Streamlabs or PayPal, I always sit down and I write you a personal email. Thank you for your contribution, because you do not have to spend your hard-earned coins on this platform, but you choose to do so. That means that you see value in this platform, and I am humbled and honored with that. And I will continue to bring you mind-opening content as long as I have breath in my body. So once again, I thank you for your most generous contributions. So, like I said, this double header done turned into a triple header. We starting off with a brother that's very interesting to me. I've taken quite the liking to this brother. Brother A-M-1, he's in the house. What's good, brother A-M-1?
Brother X, what's going on with you, sir?
What's going on, man? What's going on? Being that you are my opening act, let's get right into it, shall we?
What we hollering about?
Well, you. We're going to talk about you. I think the first time you and I came in contact with each other was on O'Shea's, and you had a very very interesting take on reproduction and mating, so on and so forth. And I will say, I said it's something about this brother, man. I said I'm gonna get this brother on at some point. I've been meaning to get you on one-on-one for a while, but you know stuff gets crazy. You know how this YouTube crap is. So let's start here. Start off with letting folks know who you are and what A-M-1 is all about. Let's start there.
A-M-1, Oakland, California. That's just my initials, the one and only. Really big on self-empowerment, self-development, lifelong artist of many forms, multimedia to this day, multimedia artist, designer. Really living art, man. My whole life drawing. Always a big time fan of hip hop growing up. Had an older brother, even an older cousin, introduced me to a lot of hip hop. This is early 80s, so obviously it's coming out of New York, and obviously the early stuff in the LA in the 80s as well. And even, you know, Too Short here, Oakland, California, a lot of the Bay Area stuff. Just really soaking that up. And then we talking straight B-boy hip hop, you know what I mean? Like real deal. So I grew up with that. I have an uncle who was a singer, still sings to this day. Here in the Bay, does some things traveling around, kind of cover band type stuff. So I was always immersed in music, always immersed in art. Late 90s, got into color separation, silk screen type stuff. So from the hip hop to the hip hop fashion, being an artist, graphic design, got my hands on some computer programs. It's just, man, my whole life has been about art, getting my hands on some video editing software, some cameras. This late 2000s, getting into video editing. So we got the art, graphic design. Oh, I used to MC too, so let's not forget that part. So you get the whole comprehensive A-M-1 story. Big time hip hop dude. Middle school, started writing raps, started making beats, started getting to that. So my brother was singing, doing some, you know, hip hop, neo soul type stuff. Because I was doing graphic design, early mid 2000s, started doing showcases, started promoting events because I was doing people's posters and flyers and whatnot. So this kind of organic situation kind of happened to where, fast forward to now, all I do, freelance, graphic design, multimedia, video editing, graphic design, motion graphics, like commercials, ads. It's all I do, man. Staying busy, clients on my head. Right now, I got you to do.
So what brought you to YouTube, brother?
Man, I've been peeping YouTube for years. I mean, soaking it up. Even me myself, like this channel, I've been rocking the same one, A-M-1, for years. I just kind of use it as a repository to have videos and be able to serve them up other places, link them and whatnot. So I never really tripped off trying to build a following and be a content creator, so to speak. But you know, been tapping in with the different folks for years. The you know, Tariq, even Cynthia G, Umar Johnson, before his shit started going way crazy after he couldn't come correct on that damn school. But just, you know, Black YouTubers, but a lot of stuff from conspiracy theory type stuff, quote unquote conspiracy theory. Just lectures, hidden history type stuff, like the Graham Hancock kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just so much, man. So much. I mean, I'm just a big sponge for energy. I've been lucky enough at certain points to have jobs where I could be working, have my ears free. So I'm just sitting, soaking up information, listening to hours long documentaries. Was always big into reading, even as a kid. Along with drawing, it would be reading encyclopedias, whole sets of encyclopedias, back to back to back, drawing pictures out of them, reading them, just educating myself, creating those neural pathways, just trying to being that smart, that light skinned nerd nigga though. You see what I'm saying?
So let me ask you this: what what's your take on YouTube? You know, Black YouTube particularly. Like, what's your take on it? What you see now and opposed to what it was, say, 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, 5, 10 years ago, I was soaking up a lot of stuff. Like I said, from Griff to Cynthia G, like a lot of the people that are, so-called conscious community type stuff. I never really subscribed to that statement. Obviously, the concept of consciousness as far as conscious hip hop, that shit's been assailed to the point where I can't even really use that phrase. With the introduction of live streaming, we've seen Black YouTube devolve into basically what the bulk of so-called Black society has come into, just spreading more of the pain and the trauma and the fuckery, you know what I mean? To be honest, to be frank. And Oakland, California, I'm out here, man, trying to get it in, trying to grind, keep that soul, keep that real intelligence going. And we got that gritty kind of street vibe, feel that hustle, you know what I mean? If you apply that on something legit and really try to network, I'm coming on Black YouTube thinking I'm gonna do the same thing and am confronted with a whole lot of nigga shit. I'm like, come on, people, what are we doing here?
Yeah, well, I know whenever I find myself on a stream with you, you have a tendency to you're not one of the mainstream kind of, you don't follow the collective thought of most of the people on YouTube. You have a different outlook. I've noticed that when you speak, you're more focused on, building Black people, grinding, hustling, doing better. You're not really in the circles where they're talking about, dating and mating and swirling and all this kind of nonsense that doesn't do anyone any good. You're outside of that. So I assume that you are a guy who uh you're not dating anyone, right? You're not even thinking about dating anyone, right? You're like just a brother chasing the money, right?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. I get it in, you know what I mean? I do my thing, but it's only that I interact with women on my terms only. I mean, I want to bust a nut just like the next dude. Ben did that hardcore in my 20s, early 30s, and started realizing, hey, there ain't no future in that fronting. I'm getting older. Pretty much knew since early 20s, I'm not for having kids. I've seen way too much struggle, too much chaos come from that, more so than I've seen anything that you could remotely call success. My bar for success is saying that we have the wealth and resources that we need to sustain ourselves with some type of longevity, and then to be able to deploy those resources as freely as possible. That's success for me. So the idea of creating extra liabilities, extra dice roll type shit, extra things that are going to limit your freedom, it sounds like a hard game, but no, I'm not doing it. So sure, I mean, I date. I mean, it's not like I take women. Well, I'll put it to you this way. If it's a woman I'm just meeting, no, there's no date concept. I don't pay to get to know somebody unless it's in a business concept. And if it's in a business concept, then I'm not trying to sleep with her anyway. So if I'm trying to get to know you to see if you're somebody I want to share time with, then I need to know I can really build with you. That has nothing to do with money. We all out here, this ain't no hunter-gatherer type shit. You working. I mean, we in the Bay Area. So much tech art type jobs, careers. She can making a gang of money. You making 100 racks, 100, 200,000 a year. And it's just gesture. Fuck all that. Man, it's hard out here. Anybody who's not understanding of that, I don't want to deal with you. Try to call it masculine, try to call it traditional. You old fashioned, guess what? Better get with Doc Brown and get you a DeLorean and get you a time machine. We're not old fashioned. We're in the future. Just keeping it real. With all due respect to the ladies out there that are saying, well, I want a man that's going to be old fashioned. Well, you're outdated then. Then you better get a time machine because it's only going to get worse. And cats like myself who understand securing their freedom are not with the bullshit. Once I get to know you and I feel like, okay, I can do that. She's willing to incur the cost of spending time, sharing time, because ultimately we want to get to know each other. I'm just getting more into the whole dating thing, just so people understand my concept on dating. Because as you alluded to yourself, this is a big issue as far as Black folks and Black YouTube. This whole dating shit. I'm like, what is going on here? We ain't got nothing else to do but worry about who's dating who's fucking who's swirling, this, that, and the third. It's crazy, man. Like it's an insane asylum, really. Because I'm like, my whole platform in life in here on YouTube is to say, empower yourself first and foremost. I'll leave it at that, so I don't be too long-winded. Go ahead.
So do you subscribe to like the red pill philosophy? Do you consider yourself a red pill kind of brother?
I don't really subscribe to any labels like that, but when I started to really peep game on like MGTOW, red pill, I'm like, yeah, that's basically me since in my 20s. You know, I had a few lapses to where I met a chick and, you know, felt the butterflies in my stomach and, oh, I want to be with her, and, you know, fall into the societal belief type shit. Then of course snap out of it and realize, yeah, even when you really try to get it in and try to be that dude, a lot of these chicks still don't appreciate that, and they got the extra baggage and their traumas and, oh, you're too nice, I don't want the guy who's too nice. And really understanding the like hypergamy nature of women to a certain degree, not to generalize all women. They are always seeking the stronger dude. If you, you know, kind of put yourself on the same emotional level as them, then they want to level up to something else. So understanding that, extra fallback, when I started really getting a handle on the business kind of stuff I could do versus dealing with women on the level of jump through hoops, it sells itself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm about these resources, the assets, all that. And people was like, well, you got to be coupled up to have success. No, that's a bunch of bullshit. Stop it. Objective reality states that any person can do anything they want if they're driven enough and focused enough. So all of the successes that could be had coupled up, sure. Theoretically, strength in numbers could be the move, but we're not. I don't think, by and large, we're not seeing it actually happening. We're not seeing the impact or efficacy of it for the most part. We're still all struggling. Stop it. Go ahead.
So let me ask you then, being that you are a brother who, you know, you have a particular philosophy, why do you think that we are so entwined with especially here on media, and I assume, you know, out in the real world too, to a degree, why do you think we're so caught up on who picks who dates who wants to be with who, what's a good man, what's a good woman, so on and so forth? Why do you think that we as Black folks are so caught into that? Of all the things that we can be caught into, it seems like, I know it seems like to me that we're caught into that more than anything else. Why do you think that is?
Man, I'm gonna really break this down. I think about this a lot because, like I tell folks, I'm 40 years old, no kids, about that business. I have a lot more bandwidth than the average coupled up ass folks or the average cat that's out here dusty and raggedy. I've worked real hard to build my life the way it is, and I'm just scratching the surface. Say that to say I have time to think this through. What I'm understanding is this, and one of my clients that I work for, she's a great friend of mine, is executive director for a Black-owned mental health organization. Me and her I've sat at the foot of this wise woman for hours talking about these things, hours upon hours, and really just kind of giving some generational things. She's like old enough to be my mom. So just soaking up game and kind of just, you know, going back and forth. We're talking about epigenetic trauma. We're talking about historical traumas. The idea of Black folks being pinned down on an economic level, spiritual warfare, chemical warfare, crack era. You understand what I'm saying? When you look at all these things and the traumas that Black folks are facing, for the most part, Black folks have very little control and freedom, but control over their lives. So what I think is happening is on a subconscious and outward, you know, psychological level, what we're seeing is people finding some type of empowerment or sense of freedom by the things, the only few things they can control. One of which is trying to track down a mate or trying to go out and smash everything that moves. Or for women, especially, because it does appear, not to generalize, but I'm sure we can all agree, women are more motivated by the emotional and biological urges to procreate, and there's more of an emotional tie to it, especially with sex. So when you look at it that way, and then you compound the whole thing I just illustrated before, as far as Black folks specific, you take Black, you take woman, you take both of these things that could be potentially used against you to further pin yourself down. So you take that trauma and that need and that lack and watch it play itself out in the form of, well, I gotta have a man to have some kind of validation. This goes for not even just black women, period. Like, you know what I mean? Or dudes not really having shit. I know I'm dusty. I know I'm raggedy. I know it's hard for me to get a job. So there's the brothers that's trying to do it right, trying to get a job, trying to really empower themselves, who still have trouble. And then there's, of course, the raggedy ass dudes that's just, you know, trying to be the thug dudes that ain't trying to do no better and know exactly what the deal is, but just lazy. We got to deal with that. It's the strata. It's real stratified. You know, it's hard to even summarize this in however long we're going to talk, as you know. But just, I really think it's more a matter of I have very little things I can control. So let me worry about my shoes. Let me worry about growing my locks and show that's black culture, my locks. I'm like, that's all you got? What else? What are you doing to progress your people forward and really create more art, more, you know, intellectual property ideas, art that can be turned into an industry and commoditized? Like, I'm thinking in those levels versus I'm lesser to some degree. I feel like I can't do shit because the white man is holding me back or whatever iteration of that. So I'm worried about just growing my hair out. And that makes me feel empowered and I can shake my locks around. Or the flip flop of that is I can't really control anything. So I'm going to just have a baby. I legit know multiple women out here in the Bay, right here in the town, that are insistent upon having children, regardless of if they have a man in their life, setting themselves up to be single mothers here in the Bay. Bro, if you know how grimy it is out here. So it appears that it's coming from that lack, that trauma, and just the sense of lack. So let me control something. And it's all based on the idea that something external is going to validate me. That's it's bad news, bro. It's bad news.
Well, I listen to you speak a lot, and obviously you've had some influences in your life. What's your background, man? I mean, you know, what's your background as a kid? I mean, were you raised by your father? Were you, you know, what's your background as a young fella?
Interesting. So Oakland, California, born here. My mom and my dad separated when I was 1. I have no living memory of my biological father. A couple of years later, my mom tried to do it again with some other knucklehead ass nigga coming out of the 70s trying to be on some Oakland Mac pimp shit. But he was really just a square dude trying to be on that level because he wasn't even from Oakland and just, you know, following the wave at the time. But my mom from Louisiana, the projects, the wards out there, you know what I mean? But at the same time, raised Catholic. So she was kind of gamed up, but then kind of game goofy at the same time, you feel? So she didn't really know. She didn't know no better. So she's in her 20s. I'm an older brother. So, you know, so I come along next. So she's trying to sort it out. She's trying to do the right thing, you know, Catholic upbringing, trying to get married, you know, hyper, super Christian kind of. My grandmother basically beat that into her. So my dad leaves when I'm 1. She remarries. We move out of Oakland to suburb down the way called Union City. Lived there for a while. Now I'm back and forth from East Oakland to Union City. It's a little suburb. It's cut. So I'm seeing the hearts and flowers, the sun, the breeze through the trees, some different sort of looks, some different cultures, the Filipinos, the Indians. Then every weekend, every holiday, every summer, I'm back in deep East Oakland running around. This is in the 80s, dope boy era. Niggas with jerry curls running around selling dope. You know, handoffs. This is dope era. You know what I mean? Like, so it's an interesting dichotomy to grow up in this at the same time, real big in the hip hop shit. I remember going and picking up all the old school tapes, all the maxi singles, NWA shit coming out. I'm going to get Too Short, Born to Mac. I'm getting Public Enemy. I'm all this, Fat Boys, Roxanne Shante, all this big time hip hop dude in the 80s, X Clan, all this shit. You know what I mean? Like really soaking this all up. Meanwhile, you know, the grimy shit going on, East Oakland, dope game shit. And we moved to yet another suburb, North Bay. And I'm seeing how out there, you know, fast forward, this is like early 90s. A lot of people really wanted to gravitate to the whole thuggery and all this. And I'm still the same art nerd kind of dude, but I'm seeing these different things. I'm soaking up these different things. It's making me real, you know, across the board. with a lot of different things. My understanding is real expanded. You see where I'm going with that? So, stepdad, yeah, not really the best father. If anything, I learned more of what not to do from him. My mother has 3 brothers, so I have 3 uncles that are real strong figures in our lives. Jermaine, what's up? Shout out from in the V. So between my older brother and my uncles, I've always had sort of that offset of not having my dad in my life, and maybe to a hyper level. So it wasn't like the average bastard baby maker single mother type scenario. I had like that foundation of men to be like, nah, bro, this is what it is. Seen some suburb shit, seen some grimy hood level shit. Got into some dumb shit myself, man. Damn near caught some cases and really took my life in a different angle. But by way of the hip hop shit, by way of the music, by way of the art, the great creativity, was able to, stay in a real cool lane. Go ahead.
So you always knew you wanted to be like designer, art guy. You always knew that from when you were young. You always thought, I'm going to be an artist. Because
Absolutely.
Because you do graphic art and graphic design and all that kind of stuff too, right? Along with music.
Yeah, that's my primary.
Wow.
I was working on some stuff right before we got on this little website. I don't really do websites, but for this particular client, bundled together my package to do some different stuff. But yeah, no, man, like it was literally a situation. Here I am, 40, growing up. I want to be an artist when I grow up. But who knew what that would mean? You know what I mean? Back then, we had the Apple IIgs at school, and that was crazy. The Apple IIg. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know what that is, that's way old. Here we are now, super computers, bruh. Like, I'm talking to you on this Mac is ridiculous. I'm able to get on this thing, get busy, but I still keep the hand game going on. You know what I mean? Like, if I need to draw something, a cartoon character was in the, graffiti type stuff. So graffiti type characters, bombing the trains and whatnot, like really getting it in. Want to be an artist when I grow up? Sure as shit. That's what I've done. Aside from all the punk ass other day jobs I've had, working for peanuts. I was telling O'Shea when I did a stream with him last week, worked for Comcast with climbing telephone poles, climbing under houses, coming in with your boxes. I got to hook this shit up. Grimy ass hood shit over here in Richmond.
Well, most artists are usually struggling artists. So it's, you were a struggling artist at some point, right? Early on, before you got to where you are now, you were like a struggling artist. You were installing cable while you was trying to get it in, right?
Absolutely. So, I mean, at that point, this is when I'm still rapping. I'm still doing shows around here. Some openers for some known folks, like some of the like hieroglyphics, social mischief type folks. Some of the underground folks, because the kind of stuff I was into was always the more underground, not the top 40 cornball type shit, the big Willie stuff and all that. I'm like, nah, that was never my lane. Just like it ain't now, all the trap, cornball shit, bro. Like, everybody got to have a face tattoo, everybody got locks, everybody didn't share their girl. But yeah, definitely struggling artist to that degree, working these jobs for damn peanuts, trying to get it in when I get off work, do different things. Always knew I wanted to do more. Luckily got laid off from that Comcast job, unemployment, had to do some things. Worked for the North Face. So that was kind of dope. Did some graphic stuff for them, start getting this sort of freelance contractor resume going. Like, okay, I'm seeing how this works. Fell back into another kind of regular day job, just doing some admin type shit. Did that for like 2.5 years. Peeled out from that. So now we fast forward. This is 3.5 years ago. Really shifted gears into just full on freelance shit. And man, ain't never looking back. Ain't never looking back, bro.
So when did you realize that, hey, I've arrived, this is what I'm doing? When did you realize that? Was that something recent, or has it been a while?
No, this is an interesting thing. That's a great question. I would say 2014. So I've been doing events in the Bay here for over 10 years now, rapping, doing the music stuff. I stopped with all the rapping and the music production stuff in 2010. Then kind of focused more on the art, the clothing, the fashion type stuff. So I did my brand, All, like you see the All. I used to do graphic design under the banner, All Attractive. Your design will be attractive to all. And use that branding. But always kept the All branding. When I used to MC, I used to go by All Creative, All Soul, like these different iterations of All. just on some like, you know, higher consciousness type, everything is everything, all the A-M-1. See what I'm saying? It all ties together. You know, that nerd dude.
So, so do you consider yourself to be a nerd? Do you consider yourself to be like a nerd, brother?
Proudly. I used to be the nerd dude who's like, oh, you square, you ain't a real nigga. You ain't the real thug niggas. You one of the lame geek nerd art nerd dudes, or the dudes that's just rapping freestyling. I was that dude. So it's like I knew everybody because I was always rapping, and you know, even the so-called thug ass niggas that was just about that life always fucked with me because we all get together and have that common ground. Leaving out of high school, everybody go to a little spot, blowing crazy trees, and just flowing, just rapping, getting it in. And they'll be like, oh, this fool's tight. He a square ass light skinned nerd dude because he ain't getting it in on some street shit. But you know, they fuck with me though. Definitely that nerd. But 4 years ago, damn, 4 years ago, almost 5, I did this day party series here in downtown Oakland, and brought together some artists, different DJs, because I knew a lot of different people because I was, you know, involved in a lot of different events. So I kind of pulled resources together and really helped kick off the wave of day parties here in the Bay Area being this big thing. Because, you know, so many venues, so many clubs, so many artists. You know, if you know about Oakland, you know what it is. Did this day party series and really started to level up. I had a homie come, video camera, shot this dope video. So we dropped this recap video, had another homie come with some photography. So we did the event. I did the graphic design for it, the whole marketing campaign, worked it all out with the venue. They loved it. It blew the roof off, packed, jam-packed in here. I should repost the video from that. We called it Attraction, All Attractive Attraction Day Party. We actually ran that back just this year for my 40th birthday party. We did 2 of those in July and then in August. But when I did that day party thing, I really realized, okay, from the graphic design to the events to the video element after the fact, the photography, the multimedia experience, and understanding the money that could be made. Meanwhile, I'm soaking up all this shit from folks like Claude Anderson and Boyce Watkins, just really understanding the business element plus the other YouTubers and other just people I've been knowing about, but like Amos Wilson and, you know, so people really peeping game. The plight versus the economic empowerment versus really living how I can see myself doing this stuff and stuff I really enjoy as far as the media work and the entertainment media stuff I really wanted to do. It all started to come together. I'm working at this punk ass job, tearing myself out of bed, turning in my time. And man, I got it in. I would promote my parties while there. They'd kind of be on my head. Little by little, we're just bumping heads. And it was coming to a head to where they was either gonna fire me or I was gonna leave. And I ended up leaving because I was like, man, I really need to go freelance and do this independently, get it in for my people, Black owned business, Black owned media. Really did that, let my nuts hang, balls out, did it. And man, started off real rocky, real rough. But it's kind of lovely now, bro. It's like every time I turn around, phone ringing, getting a text, because like one gig you do leads to 2, 3 more. And it just keeps webbing out to the point where it's like, hey, I'm too booked up. I can't even get with y'all. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
That's a good problem to have. So let me ask you about your political views. Are you political? Do you have any any political thoughts? And when I say political, not just mainstream politics, but Black politics, because you seem to me like a brother who actually love his Black folks. So what's your view on Black political standings or politics at large, if you will?
Yeah, man. I mean, as far as we can tell, I mean, we understand that history is a lie agreed upon. History is dictated by the victors, you know what I mean? So as far as we can tell, so-called Black folks, people of higher melanin content, whether it be the copper colored people already here or the folks brought over from Africa, we know it's historical trauma. We know what's going on. We know about all the shit that's been going on, even just within the 20th century. Here we are now, whole new paradigm, internet, high-tech shit. Still got us all pinned down. We got to sort this all out. I'm definitely about my people first and foremost, but it's a hard game, man. It's hard. Like Jason Black Authority talk about black first. It's like, bruh, that's a hard game. That's like, I don't know, you're a glutton for punishment, trying to go hard for your people when most of your people ain't trying to go hard for their damn self. Like, imagine, just imagine. And it's really about unplugging from a lot of mainstream shit. Like people talking about, you know, political ties, every little thing they put out in the mainstream, people biting at it. Just obviously me being a big hip hop dude, what they've done with the whole hip hop shit, the trap wave, just totally torpedoed all of what we could have did with anything really conscious and uplifting with the music for the most part. Not to say that it's all gone, but as far as within the mainstream, they totally got that on lock. Nigga shit all day. Then the whole positioning of black wealth. I mean, if it's true, Claude Anderson fires off the numbers like after slavery, 0.1% of the nation's wealth. Fast forward 2018, 2019, same numbers. Yvette Carnell, Tone Talks, what we got wrong about the wealth gap. The numbers that they're talking, wealth calcification, black folks not having a real wealth. If these things, looking at these things, you can say, yeah, the sources, whatever, how they're sourcing it. But it just raises an antenna for me because I'm like, if that's even a fraction of a percent true, a fraction, I don't care if it's 10% true. If you love yourself and you love your people, you need to be ready to drop everything and be like, hold on, let me look at this. Let me look at this. And let's really sort this out. So people are talking about black love, black family, black, but then can't turn off a football game, can't turn off an NBA game, jumping up and down about Kaepernick, every little racial thing, Trump, all of these different things, man. A lot of these head fakes are people are being dragged in so many different ways, pulled in so many different directions. The women is mad because the dudes ain't doing this. The dudes is mad because the women ain't doing this. It's a bunch of bullshit, man. So much of this stuff is just chaos. Then it's like we're all being distracted from the main shit, which is let's stop, look at what's going on, unplug from the mainstream media shit, unplug from essentially the toxic white American dream society shit that they sold us all. They sold that to white people. They, the higher ups, the real elites, sold that to the average white folks to pin them down. Here we got black folks that been pinned down trying to play that game that was never meant for us anyway. What the fuck is going on here? So you see what I'm saying? It's fuckery on top of fuckery inside of fuckery. It's just a puzzle. And I'm like, y'all ain't stepping back and looking at it. No, I got to have it my way. I got to have my 2.5 kids. I got to have this, that, and the third, because I need to be validated by these external things that people have taught me. This narrative that we have to have this. I have to do it. I have to have my family. Sure, family is great. But I know plenty of raggedy ass, dusty ass families. Or I know families that are good, great people. My older brother, great family, beautiful. Still struggling. Do they own anything that's of legacy value? No. Are they able to do anything that has any greater impact outside of their nuclear family? Not really. If that's the case, and if we can extrapolate that out through millions of families, then show me the actual efficacy and impact currently of black families and that being the high priority push. Again, single dude, 40, no kids. I have the bandwidth to think like this. Also, and I talked to Brother Gab about this, I don't have those things in my life. So I don't have something like a subconscious feeling that might sway me in some way to say, well, I have a kid, so I can't entertain an idea like that. Since I don't, I'm able to. People say, well, who are you to talk about families when you don't have one? I'm like, well, I can definitely talk to you about the benefits of it. And I can show you the things that I'm able to do, the things I have done and what I plan to do that can impact far greater people than just myself and what would just be a close-knit, tight-knit nuclear family. I have more impact on more lives of more black folks, young and old, than most families I know.
Well, let me ask you this, because you talk about all the distractions and the head fakes, you know, that are there. And many of us as black folks, we have, of course, subscribed to these things. Do you believe that it's by design, by others, mainly the white power structure, or the white supremacy boogeyman that we hear about so much, or is it us? Is it us, or is it a combination of both? In your opinion?
Absolutely, a combination of both. I mean, we know what's up. Historically, they talk about slavery. I mean, they try to say some black folks own slaves and whatnot, and that's an interesting story too. But clearly, we've been pinned down, try to use us as cattle, shadow slavery. I mean, come on. It being written into law that you can have slaves, Jim Crow laws. I mean, come on. There's people who try to fight these kind of things, like an ABL or somebody like that. So there's peace to the ABL, but there's cats who try to say that type of shit. And I'm like, really, bro? Come on. But I see where he goes, though. Don't let that paralyze you into saying, well, the white man has got me and I'm done. Because I'm definitely a walking model to say, yeah, white folks has done a whole lot of crazy shit to black folks, but I guarantee you I'm able to move out here for the most part and not be held back by what white folks are doing. In fact, the way I move, white folks come to me for my skills and talent, and they know exactly how I roll unapologetically. There's no question about it. They come to me because they want my energy and my vibe and my creativity, because they know how hard I go for my people. Here in the town, everybody knows how hard I go for black folks. There's no question about it. Anybody who knows me and knows how I gets down, to the point where there's niggas that want to just stay on some hood street shit that get on my head because they're like, oh, you on respectability politics, you trying to be this or that, or yeah, you can get by it easy because you light skinned, pulling every excuse out the book. But the same niggas would be like, oh, I want to go buy a grill. I'm like, nigga, you fucking 38 and you got kids. You want to go buy a grill? But I'm the fucking square dude, right? You see, the type of nigga shit. See what going on? No, a lot of shit's been done to black folks for sure. At this point now, the shit is on autopilot. We talking about generational fuckery. Let's just go back to the 80s, the dope era alone, the crack era. So what that did to dismantle families, not to mention the actual chemical nature of it, just really, degradation of mentalities. Let's talk about McDonald's. Let's talk about fast food, Happy Meals. You put those things together, poor education. Those three things alone set us up for failure in such a way that a lot of niggas is just straight up dumb, just because they couldn't possibly be anything more. That's just facts. We gotta be realistic about a lot of this stuff. A lot of what's holding black folks back is our own autopilot fuckery, making excuses for hood shit, making excuses for lesser than thinking, making excuses to say, oh, you're trying to be like the white man because of this, that, and the third. When it's really like this. You come talk to a brother like me, I'm like, look, you want to talk about we was kangs and this type of shit, conscious community, black power, and all this, we uplifting and Wakanda forever. Nigga, stop all that. We need to be putting ourselves on a higher level than all these fucking people. If we come from the genetic lineage of the original man, melanated bodies, you know what I mean? People of the sun. If that's the case, we need to be holding ourselves at a higher level. And to do that, we got to be out here trying to attain and maintain these damn resources. That's what they're doing. Resource supremacy. Don't be fooled that it's just about skin color. That's a major factor, but these people are locking in damn resources. You know what I'm saying? Like control over whole populations, control over people's psyche. That's the biggest, hottest commodity right now. Content, content, content. All these billionaire dudes, that's all they talk about. Content is king. Content is king. That's intellectual property. We're in a market right now where we can be commoditizing creativity media, such as what you're doing, things that I do. I do this for a living. I'm new here on YouTube. I ain't even scratched the surface on what I could do here on YouTube, bro. Tapping in with folks like O'Shea, what he's doing, amazing stuff. He does his shows, the business stuff. He does his shows where he's wilding out, entertainment, funny shit, Thursbox shit on some Wayans Brothers and Living Colors type shit. I love it. We own and control that comedy. We need to be owning and controlling and commoditizing all that. The athleticism, yes. Cynthia G's, why aren't the people, why are the black athletes doing this and that? I'm like, yeah, I agree. We need to have more of that discussion out in the open. How many people watching this or watching on a replay be like, no, well, nigga, fuck that. I ain't turning off my TV on a Sunday. I ain't turning off my basketball game. See, that's a problem. There's women who'll say it too, so don't get it twisted. It's not just men, it's men and women too. Gender war shit, helping to perpetuate the bullshit. One of the main things is this, and I did a series on my channel. I got to do more of these. Mainstream media is not your fucking friend. That's one of the biggest things we can do or not do to undo this whole situation. It's feeding itself. We're fueling it. We're playing along. It's bullshit. Go ahead, X.
So we're at a time now where, you know, media kind of controls a lot of stuff. I mean, it definitely controls a lot of Black society. So your suggestion is we need to kind of back up off of mainstream media as a start. So after that, what would you suggest Black folks do after that, after they've pulled back from mainstream media and all this nonsense that's out here that they're viewing? Because as Black folks, we take in a lot of it. We probably watch more television and take in more media than any other group, percentage wise. So what happens after they pull back from the whole media thing?
Well, that's the thing. And to not even oversimplify it that way, pull back from the media, but media is a big deal. That's mind control. That's literally programming how you think, your context for reality, your context for how you sit and operate within the world. That's a big, big deal. That's what's telling dudes they got to act a certain way, do certain things. That's what's telling women they have to have this Prada bag. They got to do what Cardi B is telling them. It got to be some thotty shit. They got to have a big booty. They got to light skin, dark skin. The propaganda these other white folks are putting in their media, pumping, swirling, doing all these different things that's triggering the shit out of women and men just alike. We pull back from that. We tap more into Black folks who are creating media, even if it has to be on something like a YouTube and on up. We support that. We put dollars into that. We make it to where it can be comparable with what they're doing. Media, a comparable Black owned and controlled mainstream media, is actually a military strategy because it's communication lines. No war is fought without communication lines and the technology to deploy it. So that's what it really is. It's not even about entertainment. It's about communication, us controlling our narrative, showing Black people in a positive light, showing us dressing and looking a certain way, because how you present yourself definitely matters. Because we are behind, there is a global scale of business and resources being shifted and being had. We have to play the game. That's why I say we got to hold ourselves at a higher standard than white folks. It's bigger than white folks. China ain't tripping off white folks. See, can't have it that. I can't have it both ways. We got to get to where we here competitive with the white folks, with Chinese folks, with whoever. You see what I'm saying? That's how it has to be. It's multifaceted. So the media creates the communication lines where we control our narrative, make those things be the talking point. For better or for worse, Boyce Watkins doing the business flashcards for kids, that type of shit. Man, mind blowing. Changing the game, getting while they're young, leveling them up, homeschooling, those kind of things. Q Butter, holy moly, the kind of shit he's doing. Even right here on YouTube, Erica Williams giving so much free game on how you can fix your credit and level up, LLC type stuff. Real simple stuff you could do to where it's damn near like you ain't got no excuses. But of course you got excuses if you worried about I need a man because Cardi B and Offset are so nice and it's cute and you sidetracked with some dumb shit like that. So unplug from their media, support our own media. Then that creates a situation where nerds like myself who care can say, all right, cool. They bankrolling my situation. Gab. I have my business as far as client facing work. And then I have my own urban multimedia brand clothing called All Studios because all the different studio shit that I, illustrated before. So I have clothing, I have a bunch of different stuff. And it's basically that same branding that you see there. My dude, Gab, putting his money where his mouth is, went to my website, copped some things. They should be pulling up today or tomorrow. Send him even an extra bonus hat just on GP because he's supporting your boy and showing love and really about that life. I go on O'Shea, some people's different streams and drop super chats and different things like that just to support it. I don't care, $2, $3, $5, $10, whatever is the gesture. Because if we could times that, multiply that by millions, we could start putting a dent in this situation. So we unplug from their shit. We start promoting. We create comparable media content streams. We do fun shit. We do deeper level stuff. We do informative type stuff. This is all stuff that I'm trying to do with my brand, All Studios, content stream where I'm interviewing different artists, doing recap videos, different educational type stuff. This is all stuff I'm trying to build and get going more. But my client work is actually kind of pulling me in a different way. But that's what funds the other stuff for the most part until it really gets going in and of itself. So you see what I'm saying? Unplug from their media, tap in with folks that are doing it, help fund them. Then we create a situation where we can put our own commercials for more Black-owned businesses. Those Black-owned businesses get more money because people are seeing their shit more. They're being programmed to support Black-owned businesses. You see what I'm saying? All we're doing is just replicating their system, but just focusing it inward. So they're talking about that $1 trillion buying power. We funnel that back into our community. We basically do what the Jews did. Then we can start leveraging real political power and be like, you know what? Let's go bogart this other country with these people off their land. Not to say we should do that, but you see the G move they did right after World War II. Gotta know your history, man. You can't know your history if you're watching Love and Hip Hop. You can't know your history if you're watching, oh, I gotta catch this Warriors game. You can't do it. You can't have it both ways.
I agree.
And head fakes, bro. Go ahead, X.
Well, one thing that I really admire about you, brother, is that you don't talk. See, this is the problem on media. You know, I don't know if it's a problem with people in real life, but on media, this is the problem. A lot of us get on here and we talk from the vantage point of struggle mountain, even if we're not necessarily struggling. Okay. You don't talk, you don't talk from a struggle aspect when you speak. I mean, you talk a little more progressive. You don't talk by way of the struggle, something that a lot of people do. And I'll say again, because many of us who talk that, we holler from struggle mountain, those people aren't even really struggling, the people who holler from struggle mountain. So why do you not do that? And do you think that people do that a little bit too much?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's an interesting sort of question because there are the people hollering from struggle mountain, as you put it, who ain't even really struggling. And a lot of people are doing this stuff on this media platform here, ain't struggling. They're doing it for views. They're doing it for attention because in their lives, they really ain't about shit. And they find their whole little community here. So there's that. Then there's the people who are struggling and using that struggle as a paralyzing excuse to not make it happen more. I would say, shit, if you being pinned down, a white man got his foot on your neck, then that's all the more reason you better learn jujitsu and figure out how to put that leg in a leg lock or some shit and sort that out. Like, what are you gonna do? Just lay there and just get late? You know what I mean? Like, you gotta level up. But I mean, everything that I'm saying and doing is born from being understanding of a universal struggle for Black Americans and Black folks around the world. But it's basically some real soldier shit. Like a lot of cats I came up with and know now talk about, nigga, we soldiers on the block. I'm like, are you soldiers out in this whole damn world? And if so, what are you really doing? Well, nigga, I got the gat on me. I'm like, okay, but you in some hood with some people that look like you and you helping these other people pin your own people down. That ain't soldier shit. Real soldier shit is saying, look, I know what we're up against and I'm gonna gather more intelligence to make sure I know what we're up against. Then we're gonna move forward. And that's it. Crying about it and, doing all this different shit that's not moving us forward. It's exactly that. It's a waste of time. It's not moving us forward. So unless people are just, I don't know, out for some kind of fake YouTube clout or just trying to get people to like them and views, friendship factory shit online. I'm a nerd. I'm not really about shit. I'm old now. I'm not really out in the clubs and I found this whole new social forum, but I'm gonna get on here and just talk from Struggle Mountain and get you to draw you people in and talk about my hurt and my pain. I can't find a man, so these niggas ain't masculine enough. I can't find a man. They don't want me, so they're not masculine by default. Just all the fuckery of gender war shit. It's crazy, bro. I don't come with that because I'm like, I'm not defeated. I'm over here winning. Like, if it was for me, if I was really like, man, fuck all y'all niggas, I'd be good. And that's not me saying I'm trying to go run off with some Becky. I don't even fuck with white chicks for anybody who's trying to imply some shit like that. I've heard people try to, I bet he fucks with white chicks. I don't even fuck with white chicks like that. Not saying I never have, but now when I look, I'm like, this is about as light as I'm gonna do. But no, man, like on some, oh, you want to run off with the white folks. I'm like, shit, I was out doing an interview just last year and got robbed from my camera right over here in West Oakland. O'Shea himself, he was like, my first interview with him, he's like, damn, you didn't move? I was like, nah, man, we're leaving out of town. They gentrifying it. They're trying to run us up out of here. We need soldiers to really hunker down and stay in them damn trenches. But how you gonna hunker down and stay in the trenches when everybody's worried about, oh, I need attention, I need a man, and oh, I need to fuck something, or I need a weave, or I need some Jordans, or this or that. It's a hard game, bro. What are we to do? What are we to do? I don't have to. I don't have to do none of this. I can be good. I can do what I do from anywhere in the world. Camera, and a computer, and internet, and I'm good. Pure creativity, bro. A pencil, paper, camera, computer, I'm good. And I'm talking like, I ain't even scratched the surface on the kind of money I can make, the kind of, man, going 19, real estate is leveling up to the fucking fullest. And this is all, let me make sure I make this point. I know I'm long-winded. Let me make sure I make this point to anybody watching this now and watching on a replay. You can have your freedom and have it your way and live life and thrive and really flourish and enjoy this shit, not focusing on coupling up and worrying about all of the drama and chaos that can come along with that. Be your own, young men, be your own man, keep your freedom. Young women, your highest bar in life is not being a wife or having a baby. Absolutely not. We are higher order beings. We are more than just animals. Animals only care about eating, shitting, fucking, and staying alive. We are not animals. We are higher order beings. Art, creativity. We got a real big art project that we can be working on right now, and that's fixing the plight of Black folks. That has nothing to do with being coupled up. Facts. Go ahead, X.
Agreed. I got Brother Gab coming on in about 2 minutes. So you got any final thoughts, anything you want to leave the folks with before we peel out?
Man, that was pretty much just it right there. That's something I'm gonna go a lot harder on. I see there's a need for it. Just really trying to instill that in folks. It's a trip because I get comments in my comments here on YouTube, and people hit me up on IG because I always tell folks, go get look at All Studios Oak on Instagram. I do a lot of work on Instagram, and just hit me in a DM, and folks will do it, and they'll be like, "Hey, A-M-1, I like what you said," da, 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 da. Or talk to me about the graphic, the art type stuff you do, and I'm like, "Yeah, what's up? I love talking about it." Again, art nerd. But when I get a message from a young brother saying like, man, A-M-1, that's dope. I like what you're saying. It makes me feel okay to be all about staying in these books and focusing on my career. To hear an older guy say that and see kind of how you living and how you doing it, it's really empowering for me. And it lets me know I can kind of stay in my lane and focus on this. And I'm like, really? They talk about Black men being on some masculine leadership shit, right? Is that the leadership we want? Isn't that the kind of leadership we want? Do we want the leadership where I'm booed up, I got 3-4 kids, and I'm sitting on the couch and I tear myself out of bed and go work for the white man? Do we want that leadership that's having very little greater impact? Or do we want the leadership of a dude who stays agile, stays fit, stay youthful? Clearly, you see, I ain't no old looking fucking bummy dude. I'm like better shape, more vitality than I've had even in my 20s. Understanding, eating right, taking care of my health, overall holistic betterment, self-empowerment. I'm gonna say it like this, and then I'm out. If Black men, young Black men and young Black women focus on holistically healing yourself and empowering yourself, we do that for the next 5 to 10 years. Stop worrying about anything else. Focus just on that. We will change our situation for the better forever. There's no way around it. Nobody can tell you nothing different. I don't care how you feel. Reality doesn't give a shit about your feelings. If we do that and sacrifice and focus on putting the mirrors in our faces and saying, what are we going to do? What are we doing wrong? What are we worried about versus what we all need to face? Consensus reality. Your stomach going to start growling. You're going to need a roof over your head. These people are locking in the wealth. They gentrifying predominantly Black areas. We got to sort this out. Empower yourself. Focus on that for the next 5 to 10 years, and we will make some real change. Anything else, we getting genocided out of here. That's it. Go ahead, X.
Yeah, man, I really enjoyed this, man. It went pretty much the way I thought it would, man. I think you're a very interesting brother. I think you can inspire younger brothers if they choose to take in, the nuggets that you drop, and it wouldn't be a bad thing if more brothers, and aspire to be more like you and less like people who ain't doing shit in their life. You can put whatever you want in that blank space that you want to, but I feel like more brothers should be, you know, focusing on some progressive movement and trying to build wealth for themselves as opposed to running around trying to chase everything with a damn vagina. But I really like this, man. It was great, man. And guess what? We got to do this again. You know, yeah, we got to do this again. And you know, whenever you want me to come on down to AM1 land, just hit me up. You got my information. It's all good. I'll come right on down there, you know. But you are on the West Coast, so you know you got to give me that 3-hour consideration. You know what I'm saying? Don't say, oh, I got to stream at midnight because that's 3 o'clock for me. So, you know, it's kind of give a brother some consideration. You know what I'm saying? But once again, brother AM1, you my dude, man, and I really appreciated it, man. And y'all folks out there, I hope y'all took those nuggets in. If you want to hit brother AM1 up, look right down here in the description box, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. You can hit him up on his YouTube channel right down here where it says check out AM1's. Oh, no, it says subscribe to AM1 right here. Hit that link, get down to the brother's channel, subscribe to his channel. If you listen to me, you need to subscribe because I feel like everybody who I'm subscribed to, if you listen to me, you need to subscribe to him too. So go ahead, get on down and check out brother AM1. The brother has a lot of interesting things to say, and he lives an interesting life. And you know, his thoughts are somewhat unconventional, but insightful. And I think you can learn a lot from the brother. Once again, brother, yo, I enjoyed this, man, and don't hesitate to come back to the old T.P.O.T YouTube page. All right.
Not at all. Never, not at all. I appreciate you, X. I'm gonna be listening in. Salute to my brother Gab and Taz.
Oh, absolutely. Heavy. This is a very front-loaded night tonight. Very front-loaded night, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna be listening in for sure.
Top-loaded night. So peace, my brother, and I appreciate you coming through, man.
All right, y'all.
Peace. Yeah, just got off the line with my brother, brother AM1, man. I like that brother, man. You know, he's got a lot of, like I said, he's got some things that'll kind of rub you the wrong way. You know, especially if you're not an open-minded person, you'll get rubbed the wrong way quick because of the things he says. Like I said, very unconventional. But I mean, the brother is sharp, very sharp. He's a very sharp man, and I appreciate the brother, and I appreciate him coming on. Of course, right now we got my man, brother Gab Talk, coming up next up on the lineup. Because like I said, this is a very top-loaded night tonight, y'all. You know, y'all get some exclusives tonight, boy. Y'all getting them tonight, boy. Y'all getting 3 in a row. You know, y'all know we don't often do it like this. You know, ain't that often, boy, that you get these old.
A Prophet of Thought series exclusives.
You know what I'm saying? You don't get those that often, so y'all better be taking this in. And while you're taking this in, first and foremost, you need to get these damn likes up right here, okay? Because y'all know I don't like when this number don't match this number. We have this conversation every single week. Why? Get the likes up. And my next guest has just entered the building. If you're feeling generous, go ahead and put a few coins in the bucket, okay? Put a few coins in the bucket because I know my listeners got that money. So go ahead, drop a few coins in the bucket right there where it says the Prophet of Thought series, right there sliding up. It is greatly appreciated. My next guest on deck, peace, brother Gab Talk. What's good?
Peace, bro. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. What's
what's
going on, man?
Everything's good.
Just got done chopping it up with brother AM1, and now, ladies and gentlemen, another brother that I have taken quite the liking to. I like his style and I like his delivery. Brother Gab Talk. Before we get started, won't you go ahead and tell the folks, you know, who you are and you know what Gab Talk is about before I get into my round of questioning.
Okay. Let's start with brother Gab. Gab is my my family name, bro. my real name ain't too far away from it, but it's not Gabriel. Family gave that to me since I could remember. I don't know exactly where it came from, but it was Gab. I didn't grow up with people calling me that. It was a name I kind of tucked away. Only the family members would call me that. You know, I felt like it was an embarrassing type name. So when I came to YouTube, I this time around, because I tried YouTube before, just couldn't figure out the formula, bro. And I jumped off ahead. And when I came back this time, I said, what identity, you know, can I use? You know, one time I used to call myself on Blog Talk Radio, like in 2008, 2009. I called myself a Conscious Chats. That was the name of the channel, Conscious Chats. And I used to use my government name, you know. So this time around, I said, man, I don't want to use my government name. Is that really me? You know what I'm saying? So I was, you know what? Let me just start being myself, man. And I'm 50 years old. So I really started saying, man, who is this dude? You know what I'm saying? I asked myself that question again, as I think many people should like really start asking themselves again, who you really are, man. Are you representing that person? So I'm kind of back into my whole self-discovery mode, man, and trying to be myself and trying to use the best of my experience to represent what you see in front of you. You know what I'm saying? And so that's Gab Talk Media in a nutshell. People that if you want me to get my station out right now, that's what it is, Gab Talk Media. It's that on Facebook, Instagram, and all of the other sites. So anybody that want to connect with me through those, feel free to do so. That's Gab, the quick version. I'm from the DMV. I grew up in DC, Washington, DC. In the 70s and 80s was my time there. You know, I graduated from high school in DC, went through most of all of my school years in Washington, DC, became, when I got into the adult years, I moved on the outskirts of DC, which was what a lot of blacks do, into PG County. That's kind of like where you go to kind of graduate from the hood or the city life or urban life into the more suburban life, you know. So once I had my son, things got a little bit different for me in the neighborhood I was in. And I felt like I didn't want my son to kind of go through the same thing. So I kind of moved to the suburbs, and I'm still here, not the same place, but still in the suburbs of outer skirts of Washington, D.C.
Okay. Mm-hmm. One thing that I noticed, I mean, when I discovered you, I mean, I know you have been around for a while, but I hadn't, you know, like interacted with you or saw you anywhere. One thing I picked up on immediately, which is kind of rare, and I believe I've told you this before, it's pretty rare on YouTube, is that you are very measured. You are one of the most measured brothers I have ever seen. So let's start there. Have you always been so measured? Have you always been, you know, I mean, you're very measured, brother. Have you always been that way?
I'm pretty reserved. I've always been pretty reserved. Part of that was my probably just securing myself. I grew up a skinny dude, man. You know, so my fighting was only gonna get me so far. So charisma was better. It worked better. You know, I got a nice little sense of humor. And like I said, charisma kind of got me through. You know, every dude learns what works for him. You know, it could be sports or something that the neighborhood finds accepting. You know what I'm saying? So by the time I got to probably 5th or 6th grade, I understood, you know, that my strength was going to be in charisma and making the girls laugh and hooking up with the little, you know, girls. And I think that became kind of my thing, you know what I'm saying, where that's where I'm gonna get my respect at. And so I kind of just did that kind of thing. And as long as I laid back and did my thing, and stepped on nobody else's toes, that always worked for me. So it was really a matter of security as to why my attitude is the way it is. And I found a nice little lane in it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm learning how to be even more honest about that. You know, I locked heads with a few people coming up, but that wasn't my lane. That's not how I came up. The hood was right there, but my activity in terms of me being a hood dude is not quite the same. You know how you can grow up, be in the hood, but you're not really a hood dude. You know what I'm saying? I know what I got to do while I'm here, but you know, so it was a matter, I would say in a nutshell, it was a matter of me, you know, that was my security, to learn how to act around people so that I didn't have problems with them. You know?
So I know you have an NOI background. So how long were you involved with the Nation? How long were you involved with that?
That stint lasted about probably 2.5 years. My encounter was in '92, like right at after Denzel Washington did his thing with Malcolm X, bruh. You know, I knew something of the life only in passing, seeing him up on murals, the paintings and whatnot. And I always thought this was a cool dude, but did not know much of his life. So after that movie came out, because I grew up as a Christian, like most of the Black world, man. And up until the age of 12, I was like forced. Me and my mom was forced to go to church, man. And so I was like one of the only kids that was forced to do that in my neighborhood and in my family. Like, so it was the black sheep or white sheep, what we call it. I forgot which one it is, but it was one of the sheeps that we was the only ones doing it. And so once I could break away from there, because a lot of things didn't kind of make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? The whole shouting and people passing out and all that, it really never really made a lot of sense to me. And I kind of, it got old fast and nobody else was doing it. You know what I'm saying? Except me. But I did develop a fear of God, a fear that stays with me to this day. It's just a different kind of fear. It's not the kind that a kid has because he has no understanding of how things work. No idea of that there's different ways to approach this subject. So it's not that kind of fear. It's more of a true reverence now for learning. So my stint with the NOI came after after that Malcolm X movie, because I was actually having some personal issues in my life, man, in the neighborhood. Wasn't jail or nothing like that. I don't want to get into exactly what it is right now, but it was enough about the Malcolm X movie to say, damn, if he can stop and clean himself up, then I can stop and clean myself up. And, you know, at that time I was with my now wife, who was my girlfriend at that time. And, you know, she was ready to damn near accept anything that would help me out. So I always knew that neighborhood Muslim, you know, it's always a Sharif, man, around. So I had 2 Sharifs in my neighborhood, and one at work. Well, one in my neighborhood, and one in my path at work. They was always saying that interesting thing that made me ponder, made me question it, made me, you know, it was just always different. And so the Malcolm X movie, plus them, plus an investigation of why they killed Malcolm. And, you know, I came in there with that attitude, man. Why y'all do that? Why y'all kill Malcolm, bro? You know, and, you know, that whole investigation. Minister Farrakhan came to DC. My man said, why don't you, you know, go see him? I said, how much it costs? It's free. It's free. You're going to be at such and such church, you know. So, you know, in Southeast Washington, D.C. So I go see the minister, man. It was, be honest, it was love at first sight, man. I was done. I was all in. I went in, got the training. I lasted for about 2.5 years. And the exit was the work, the stress of the work, not nothing that went wrong. It was just the stress of the work, the weight of the work, plus the outside forces. And I caved in, I folded. Always stay close to the learning of it, though. I never ever let it go. The learning, the certain disciplines it took me years before I picked up a beer again. You know, still don't eat pork. My diet ain't as good as it once was, but I held on pretty good, and I still feel pretty good, you know.
Well, that leads into my next question. Do you, because I know you are a family man, you have a wife. Do you still kind of live by those NOI principles? Do you still kind of apply those to your life right now, you know, with your family and children and stuff?
A lot of it, yes. A lot of the tenets, most of what I learned in the Nation of Islam is what guides me. That's how I conduct myself. For the most part, you know, there's some deviations that, you know, you might not find from the laborers of the Nation of Islam, meaning those that are holding actual posts. But in terms of the nation itself, it's comprised of everything that's out. It's New York City in the Nation of Islam. It's Washington, D.C. in the Nation of Islam, the whole thing of Washington, D.C. So it's brothers in there struggling, trying to do what they got to do. So I'm out here still struggling to try and hang on to the principles of the teachings of the Nation of Islam. I'm always struggling to get my diet back, you know, to 1 meal a day, or a lot less than what it is today. Am I successful? Not most of the time. Do I try to fast? Yes. Am I keeping up all of my 5 prayers a day? No. Is it because I don't think we should? No. It's just a lot of things are due to a lack of discipline. And so I'm constantly always trying to find my way back to a certain kind of discipline. But I do subscribe, I believe, still probably pretty much 100% to that understanding.
Gotcha.
You know, and I've only grown as the years went by.
Okay, well, let's get on to YouTube, man. You know what's going on because you talk to a lot of people. I see you in a lot of different places. I see a lot of different people on your stream. You've become quite the popular YouTuber. Everyone knows who you are. What do you think of what's going on YouTube? Not anything, you know, specific or particular, but YouTube in a whole, particularly Black YouTube. What's your overall view of what it is?
Bro, I love it. I see it as a godsend, like straight up. And I stole that from Obsidian. But I had already the term godsend, I heard him refer to it, man. This is a godsend. I was already saying that, just not that way. But that perfectly described what I was feeling. Social media, to me, this live thing is what it is. And I believe that it's a tool for us to connect in a much different way. Before social media, my life you know, still is pretty basic. But this gave me an avenue to get connected and be able to be supportive of what the rest of the community is doing. And so, like, me and you know, we might be different in a lot of ways and different things that we subscribe to, but YouTube got me connected with you somehow. Somehow you was on the stream saying, man, bro, Gab, that dude. And I'm like, man, wow. You know, I had seen you before on something. And I was like, damn, I ain't even know brother knew who I was, you know what I mean? And for you to kind of pay that homage, it breathes some life into me to be on here. There are others that I really give credit for being on here, for me staying on here. Loadcast is a brother who was early in the game for me. Information Man was early in the game. These are my early mentors, whether they knew it or not. You know what I mean? And I stayed on as a result of being connected to certain individuals. So this world right here is the possibilities and what can happen over the next few years if it's still around. I think it's pretty great. It's gonna go far, bro. Like it's no doubt in my mind. For me, it's gonna go far. And I'm not talking about as a content creator. I'm just saying it could be as a content creator, but what I'm going to be doing as far as my support for people who are doing things is going to grow. Like it's going to become a part of my budget and what I'm doing. And so I'm going to feel rewarded by that. I am feeling rewarded by what I'm participating in with others on YouTube.
Yeah, well, what I've noticed about you is that people often refer to you as the great conciliator. You know, I've seen people say that about you a few times.
Yeah.
And I agree with them. I totally agree with them because, like I said, you know, you're very measured. But many of us on here are not. And I throw myself right in there too. You know, I can be measured at times, and then sometimes I can be totally off the ship. You know, it all depends on what's going on or what we're talking about. I can go from 0 to freaking 90 like that. But as far as you and when I see you on other streams, no matter what stream you're on, you're just like this, very measured, very well thought out. I mean, you're like you're sort of like you're like a river, man. You like kind of just, you know, you just got that even flow the whole time. So when you go to other people's streams, because you know, many of us are different. You know, a lot of us have a lot of different styles. A lot of us have similar styles. But like I said, I've seen you on many, many, many different platforms with many, many different styles. So how do you choose whether or not you're going to go on particular platforms? Like, I mean, do you accept all invites? Do you turn invites down? I mean, or do you just, if anyone invites you, you'll come through? How do you decide?
Yeah, as of yet, I haven't turned anything down. Most of the people that have invited me, I have known something about them and seen their channels. Some of the one I turned down the other night. I think it was Cerulean Gray and the Army, a bunch of Army dudes. And it was just too late for me to get on there. And to be honest with you, I didn't know what I would contribute to the discussion. O'Shea invited me on one the other night, and my mood, I had to be honest, my mood for what they was talking about was not in the right place. And I don't feel like I would have been as measured. I didn't feel, you know, sometimes I don't feel like being upset about a topic. And sometimes I say not tonight. And so if I'm not, you know, in the right space, that doesn't usually happen because I'm Gab. I like Gab actually fits. I like to talk, man. I like to chop it up on different things. So my choices really right now has just been by luck, man. It's just people I have admired and people who have reached out, like Information Man being like one of the early ones, saying he wanted to just chop it up. And I think he may have been one of the early ones to interview me. May have been the first to interview me. And I kind of took my cues from how he did it. I said, man, I think I could do this. You know what I'm saying? So I began to want to interview people. And I started, you know, reaching out to people and interviewing them. So that wasn't your question, but part of it was answered, I think.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe you say that, you know, YouTube and media is somewhat of a godsend? And I agree in certain aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that, you know, it has hurt us in some aspects. Do you agree that it hurts us to some degree? And if so, in which ways?
I think it's the ways that it's hurting us is when somebody gets on here and just sees it as an opportunity to be insightful of other people's weaknesses. You know, there are YouTube predators, and from my vantage point, some of them are right in front of your face, doing it right in your face in a sly way, and some people are not catching on. They're being insightful right there and up front and in your face about it. Not saying that they're being insightful, but they are. I'm hoping that they just a little short-sighted. And then there are those who are, you know, really just totally irresponsible about what they want to get on here and do. And I think a lot of the clown stuff is not very meaningful to the Black community. You know what I mean? It's on here before the world. It's not just us watching. Just because it's always me and you in the chat don't mean that it's just me and you and people like us watching. And so I'm a person that takes that pretty serious, our messaging, what we're putting out to the community, which is why I choose to be measured. And I follow like really strictly my spiritual father, Minister Farrakhan, and how I choose to navigate a discussion, you know, without being overzealous, without having to be, I simply don't have to be right. So I'm gonna stop because I think I answered your question. It's a lot in YouTube that I think is like, I think is more good for us than it is bad right now. But there is a lot of stuff that I think should change. And I think it will change when you and I change it. And I say you and I because I do consider us kind of the conscious community.
Well, without naming anyone specifically, are there any platforms that you absolutely positively would not go on if invited?
Not yet. Not yet. Okay. And I'm gonna name somebody that is everybody knows. Tommy Sotomayor is somebody who I feel like is horrible for our culture and community. He's done a couple different things, so it's not all bad. But the brother has no limits in terms of what it is he will express about our community. There are no rules there. And I don't rock like that. But would I talk with him? At first, I thought I wouldn't talk to O'Shea. I got an invite, Brother Information Man kind of, mentioned me, got me on that pipeline. And I said, you know what? I started watching O'Shea more. I said, man, what he's doing has changed since he's been on YouTube, a little bit. It's some different things going on there now. And so I use him as an example. I thought I would never be on that brother's show because I didn't like a lot of the shit that was going on that show. But I see progress, man. I seen another side of the brother that I didn't even know that was there. Like there's a method to some of his madness, and so that woke me up. So the same way that I look at him and his growth is the same way I look at Tommy and possibly his growth. I will always check back in. If somebody says, hey man, did you see this? It may take me a little while to get to it, but I think if the right person has said it, I might go check it out because I'm looking for a different, that other side of the bro that will be helpful to our community because I know it's there. I know it exists in that brother. So.
Okay. Well, you often interview people. I've seen you interview a few brothers, and your interview style. I like your interview style, man. What draws you to interview a particular person? I mean, what makes you want to interview, any particular person? Like, what does it have to be? Or do you just got this big list at the crib? You scratching off names.
Nope. I don't. I never did. I never had like this big list. It's kind of organic process. I think the first person I interviewed was a brother named Sheep Stay Sleep TV is his channel name. DS1 is what they also call him. I seen his video he did, man. It was during the time of Seti and Pharaoh talking about the Nation of Islam and the stuff, all of this like kind of reckless talk that they was talking. And the brother did a video. And I just, same way you said, man, I like his style. I like brother. You know what I mean? So when I like decided to start interviewing, I kind of reached out, and the brother answered. And I just had an interview about his style and what brought him to YouTube, and same thing that you're doing with me. I kind of just did the same thing with him. The other people that I reached out to were just, I came in as an admirer, just simply an admirer. And I said I wouldn't be reaching out to certain personality. At that time, I was still small in my thinking. And I said, man, I'm going to keep it small. I'm going to just stick with the small channels. And what the reality is because I didn't believe no big channels would, mess with a small channel. I didn't know that, if you got 10,000 people that you even want to be bothered with somebody with 500 folks. So it limited my vision. I limited myself. And so now that it has grown, I still don't have like necessarily a list. I think what I'm looking for now is people that are doing things in our community that I can talk about and support after the interview. I'm kind of looking for that person, like, here's what this brother or this sister is doing. And then there's other components where a person is such a great YouTuber, those relationships, and you can meet people through those relationships. The whole network, the idea of networking is great. So Information Man being a primary resource, Nyla Says being a primary resource, now Sinji, kind of like, you know, this whole little network of folks. You now, it's folks like in that I'm in the mix with. I was on Obsidian with somebody who rocks a kind of a different side of the truth, side of the truth that I was unfamiliar with. BGS, man, never thought I would be in a conversation with brother like that. And but these people they know what they're trying to contribute. So I'm looking for people, either they are contributing a lot or they are so polarizing, like a Sinji, so polarizing with the way that they think, that I'm interested in knowing what the hell is that makes you do what you're doing so consistently. Like, what's making you do that? What's making you hold on to this particular thing? Like this whole MGTOW thing was one with BGS and them. That the things that I was hearing about that, I said, who in the hell would, at first, I was saying, who in the hell would be a part of that? You know what I'm saying? So I have over time become less and less afraid to engage. You know, I had to get over the certain kinds of fears about what people would think about me. Nigga, you're not doing that. You know, you're not this and you're not that. What are you doing? You know? So I had to, you know, put myself in a place to understand what it is that I'm doing and what it is that I have to contribute to the game. And I'm pretty clear on it's a certain level of decorum that the community is missing, a certain level of measuredness that you're speaking of that the community needs more of. Doesn't mean that everybody needs to be measured at all. You know, I'm excited by what some of the other shit that I see. You know, some of it I wish I was good at it so I could do it too. But I'm happy in the gift that I have. I am. So I don't want to lose myself in YouTube. So God willing, I'll be the same Gab with a few, you'll see a few different sides of the personality, but it should still be the same Gab.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that media, I mean, particularly YouTube, does YouTube affect real life and society, or is it vice versa? Is real life in Black society affecting YouTube?
I think there's a relationship where this goes back and forth. It talks to each other. I think real life and media talk to each other. They inform each other. Sifting through what is the reality of both is sometimes it can be pretty difficult. I realized that sitting behind the keyboard and the camera in the safety of your home or whatever space it is that you feel safe in can make you act in different ways and feel comfortable in it. And so a lot of things that you're going to see on YouTube and in the safety of in people's safe spaces is not the reality. So I know that a lot of this stuff is very, very heightened and dramatized. The reality that is on the streets is a little different. But there is a communication. You're going to bring some of the real stuff that you seen on the street and probably magnify it here. Like I can talk all the kind of the shit that I used to want to talk when I was younger. I could try to bring and magnify that here to make my people interested, people that are interested in the street side of an individual. You know, I can try to pick up some of the lingo, brush up on the old way that I used to talk, bring it here, try to get comfortable with it, wear a few different outfits and try to create this persona that, you know, is not real. And I think it's quite a few of us that do that. The older we get, bro, you know, we don't do as much of that anymore. I'm comfortable, man. I don't have to win. The argument, I don't have to know as much as you know. I'm perfectly fine not knowing. I'm perfectly fine with just asking you the questions and having you tell me. And if I care enough to do the research, I'm not interested in debunking it if it's something good for the community. So you give me something that's good for the community, and I'm good. I don't have to go, yeah, that's not in that book. That's not what the minister said. That's not what Marcus Garvey said, and then call you back up or make a video about that you was off a little bit in your words. That's bullshit to me. Like it's a waste of time. It's fun stuff. You know, I like watching the debate, so I'm not mad. It's just for Gab, it's just a waste of time. Like, I want cohesiveness here. I mean what I say when I want ceasefire and all that. I mean it. Somebody needs to speak that into the environment. Whether people latch onto it or not is immaterial.
Well, is Brother Gab Talk a religious guy, a spiritual guy, or a cultural guy, or a combination of all of those things?
Oh yeah, definitely a combination. I do God, I think, probably a little different than most people, because I'm not as religious as people think. I know scriptures, and sometimes you might see me refer to them for a significant number of people who are who understand that language. But I can speak a little bit to the 5%ers. You know what I'm saying? Being from the Nation of Islam, I can speak to them. I can speak a little Islam. Being from the Nation of Islam, I can speak to them. Because the Nation of Islam knows the Bible pretty well, I can speak to the Hebrews a little bit. And so what you're going to see from me is an orchestra of what it is that I've learned. And it just depends on who I believe the audience is as to how much of that I will try and speak. But I'm going to speak in tongues to different communities. There's going to be a mixture of what I say so that I feel like I'm touching the audience. And I'm going to do it with a great deal of humility, because that's the language that everybody understands. That measuredness that you're talking about, that no matter what, I don't agree with him, but man, at least he's putting it in a way where he doesn't sound like he's arrogant and that he knows it all. You know, bring it down a little bit and make you understand what the purpose of me speaking, whatever it is that I choose to speak, the purpose of it, you're going to understand, is to produce some sort of harmony. That is always the end game. So regardless to how much knowledge I have about the subject, it doesn't matter. You're going to know that the little bit of knowledge that I have is aimed at cohesion, of the bringing the community together based around whatever it is I see that the community wants to use. I always can see how that works with that. I know how the Christian can work with the Muslim and the Hebrew and it's Moors and the Muslims, and I can see how that can fit together.
So do you believe that Black society and the parts of it that need healing, because there's parts of us that need healing, I mean, I think we all can agree on that. Do you believe that some of that healing can be accomplished through YouTube via media? Do you believe that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, because it's had an impact on me. Honestly speaking, you, brother, when I came to your show, the first time you invited me, I wasn't aware of the type of audience that you were entertain. I think this, I don't even remember what the topic was, but I know that the brothers were talking about this whole gender war kind of thing. And I saw that because you're measured yourself, in my opinion. I seen you turn up, but you're pretty measured in the, like you tailor yourself to the audience that you're speaking with. And from what I've seen so far. And so I've seen that dynamic, and I've seen that, okay, he's man, I almost lost what your question was. Say what your question was again, and I'll tie it back together.
Yeah, I was talking about, you know, parts of Black society that require healing, and I was asking, you know, do you believe that some of that healing can come via,
Yes.
you know, YouTube,
Okay.
internet?
I remember. Yeah. So yes, like, so through watching you, kind of like you're okay with the different opinions yourself. You don't have to subscribe to them, but you let them live. You know what I mean? Like I can see that there's some areas that me and you might disagree, but I didn't feel that on the show. You asked a question, I answered it, and that's what it was. That it wasn't necessarily for the debate. You know what I mean? You backed off, and I noticed that there are a lot of people that can do that. That they don't it doesn't bother them for things to be different. When I first came to YouTube, I felt like it wasn't getting nowhere because too many people had too many different opinions. Now I feel less like that. Now I feel like, okay, pretty soon that's going to get tired, and we're going to look for some real ways of unifying and getting some work done. Because we're smart enough to know that shit ain't going nowhere. That's a circle. They're just going to keep doing that, and there's going to be a remnant of us that get sharp from doing that for a little while, and we're going to pop right the fuck up out of there and rise to the top. You know what I mean? We're going to rise from that right there. We're not going to stay in that pot. And so that's the effect that I think YouTube is having on us.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never had a problem with you know, with a difference of opinion. I mean, you know, because a lot of the dudes that I'm aligned with, you know, we don't all come from the same backgrounds. We don't all come from the same part of the world. We don't all, you know, we don't all have the exact same socioeconomic status, you know. So of course you're gonna have a difference of opinions. And I think that that's healthy. You know, it's like a stew. It's not a stew if all you got in it is carrots. You know, what makes it a stew is the potatoes, the peas, the meat, the tomatoes. You know, it's not a stew. You know, it's not a stew if it's just got peas in it, because now it's just pea soup. So, I mean, I've never had a problem with the difference of opinions. Even if I disagree, you know, with a particular person or personality, you know, I'll talk to them about it, you know, but I will never try to make a person feel indifferent or make them feel, you know, cast away because their opinion of something is different from mine. I mean, that's never been my thing. Well, you've seen my streams, you've been on them. You know, sometimes they're really, really cool and low key, and then sometimes them shits is sometimes they be up here, boy, because dudes be going bonkers. So you don't know what you're gonna see, especially on Thursday nights. I mean, Thursday nights is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's your night right there.
Yeah, boy, Thursday nights are like off the chain. But I mean, I've never had a problem with that. And one thing I notice about you, besides you being very, very measured, you're like that too. I mean, even if you disagree with a brother's stance on something, you kind of take that stance for what it is, and you actually try to get understanding of that particular stance that you disagree with. That's something else that I noticed about you. Do you when you go on other people's streams, do you often find yourself one of the people, or the only person who may have a different stance or a different opinion about a particular subject? Do you find that that happens to you often when you go, on other people's platforms?
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I do sometimes. And I have to be honest, sometimes I ponder whether or not I should say anything at all, because in YouTube, in the YouTube world, especially before now, I was saying, damn, if I was pressured. I felt pressured not to go on this channel and say how I felt. At 50 years old, I still had that kind of pressure on me. More recently, I said, you know what? Gab gotta be Gab, man. Like I can't pander, but I don't want to interrupt the flow of what it is that you're trying to do with your message. So when I feel like that you want to stay just simply on your message, I probably won't visit your show as often, but it's still love though. It's still love. Everybody's trying to, I look at YouTube like everybody's trying to work something out. But yeah, there are times where, I'm holding the unpopular opinion about our people, because I'm for my people. You know what I'm saying? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Meaning that I don't support what's bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in support, but I got a problem when my image is out here and people shitting on it in the public. Like, you need to do that shit in the back door, in the back room. To me, don't hold. I don't give a fuck who it is out here that's doing something. We do that. We don't do this for YouTube. So my colleagues don't see it like that. This is exposure culture. We like exposing shit. You know what I'm saying? And I always put myself in the shoes of the people who are being exposed. And I know that all this shit that we call them receipts is not receipts. It fits the popular narrative. And the little bit of shit that they showing you, that angle from the camera view that you see, is enough for you to run with it, because it fits the narrative that you want to preach on. And I'm disappointed in that kind of behavior from us. I want us to grow out of that. We got a community to raise, and our image and how it's portrayed and how it looks and how we react to the negative parts of it in front of other people is of supreme importance. We got to know what family business is. You feel me? So that's some shit I take seriously.
So do you feel like many of us, do you feel like we do this out of love for Black folks? I mean, because I'm a true believer that we need to love Black folks enough to tell them the truth. And I think many other brothers like myself believe that too. But I also believe that many of us do what we do not out of the love of, not for the love, I should say, of Black folks, but to somewhat exploit Black folks. What would be your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of, I think we do exploit black each other. We'll do it as a way to rise. Like some of us, I think in business, that's, you know, in the world of capitalism, we always look for an avenue to rise. And you know, the dark side sells, man. It grabs the people's attention. The most popular sites is when you have not sites but channels, is when you either have a polarizing view that's so far out there, or you talking the pop culture shit and you exploiting people that usually, you know, can't get to you. And I don't know if I grabbed all of your questions, so come back at me again with that.
No, I know that many of us, you know, we do this for the love of black folks. And I said that, you know, I think we should love black people enough to tell them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that many of us kind of exploit black folks, and I may be guilty of it too.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say we, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I think we exploit black folks at times. And I ask, you know, what your take on that is. Like,
Yeah, okay, yeah, the exploitation is kind of it's kind of the same as similar to my answer before. I think it's personally, I think it's problematic because those of us who claim pro-blackness and consciousness have to understand that social media is the world. It's not your living room. You might be in your bed doing your live stream, but you're not just talking to your wife. You're still talking to Europe, Sweden, Ireland, Canada, Alaska, Hawaii. You're still talking to everybody else about our business and how you feel about our business. This is not closed circuit TV. And so there are opinions. There are profiles being built about what it is that they can gather from what it is that they see us doing. And our don't give a damn attitude, in many respects, I don't think serves us well, because we are going to have to network with the rest of the world. And so it's one thing to see us acting, you know, in movies in a certain way, but YouTube gives another opportunity for us to show, hey, that's TV, this is reality. But many of us have chosen to make this also TV, a reality show version of it, and we're not using it in a way that will propel us or make us look good, so that people say, you know what, that's another side. So the whole, going back to the whole being measured, you can have fun, you can be different, but when you know, if you're always understanding that the world is, you're in representation of a nation, which is something that I'm already seeing, that Black YouTube does not even really recognize us as that, which I find like really problematic as well. And so because we can't see that, we're on here doing something that shows that we're still individuals. I do what I want to do. You mind your own business on your own channel. That type attitude. And I just don't believe it's serving us well. I think there's a better way.
well, I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions before I let you go, because you know I got Brother Taz coming up next.
Oh, okay, you linked up.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What do you think should not be on YouTube? What things should we not be putting on these airways?
The degeneracy, degenerate behavior, the disrespect of each other, male and female, the disrespect of our ideologies, things that are disrespectful to the culture, and that's going to vary depending on what it is that you was raised to believe. But I don't think that Black Christians should be talking about other Black Christians or talking about. I don't think nobody in religion that's Black should be talking about each other in negative ways unless they can prove somehow that, you know, there's no good. And I think it should always be done in another room, in a back room. I don't think that we should be trying to destroy each other's work that's on here because we have these minute differences. I think we need to learn how to settle on the best part of what we're doing and talk. And if you're going to bring something to light, bring the better part of what that prophet is doing, the prophet of thought is doing. Settle on the best part. Don't settle on the poor part. You know what I mean? If you're going to talk about a person, try to find the best part of Taz to talk about. You see what I'm saying? Not the shit that went down the other night when he got out his bag defending himself. Don't highlight that shit. Go to his channel and see what you can pull out that's the best. And I think we will that's one of my secrets. So that's when I talk, I'm always looking for the best part. But I am going to engage the shit that I got a problem with. But it's going to be with respect, bro. I appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you always do things, man. You always do things very tastefully, man. I wish I was more like you. To be honest, you know, because sometimes it gets a little crazy. I wish I was more like you, but see, I'm just not. You know, I mean, I can kind of have that measure depending on what's going on, but
Yeah.
you know, I'll say again, man, you are very you're not just measured, man. You're also very you're also very thoughtful, man. You don't just jump up and answer stuff. You know, you actually ponder it there for a minute and then give your answer, man. And that's something that I admired from you from day one, man, ever seeing you. And man, I'm honored that you were on here tonight, man, and bless this stream, man. But you know, you've been on my streams before. You know, you're always welcome on the old T.P.O.T YouTube page, man. I mean, I got a lot of respect for you, brother Gab. I do, man. I got a lot of respect for you, brother. And
likewise.
And if you ever need me to come on down to Gab Talk land, you got my information. Just hit me up. You know, we connected through Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So any final thoughts before I get to my brother Taz? Anything you want folks to know?
Hey, nah, this was awesome, bro. And hey, look, I appreciate the wrench too, man. I love to see my name in blue, man.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, man. Absolutely,
but
man.
I appreciate it, man. This is awesome, bro. I don't know how long you've been doing this, bro, but this was an awesome interview. You get some nice interviews yourself, bro. This is who you are. I recognize that. And yes, we will be doing a lot more together, bro. I appreciate it. Every time we're on the panel, I enjoy myself when you're on there with me. So keep going, stay positive. And again, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm gonna get down in the chat and holler at all my friends down. You got all my friends down there, man.
Oh yeah, anytime, brother. You're always welcome on the old T.P.O.T YouTube page. You already know.
Yes,
you
sir.
already know, brother Gab.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you, brother, man. Thank you very much, man.
Yes, sir. Taz, get him, Taz. Take it easy.
All right, brother. So, any of you, y'all, what's good, brother?
What's good, man? What's up, bro?
What's going on? What's going on? My headliner, okay, Y'all done already heard from Brother A-M-1, Brother Gab Talk. So we're gonna go ahead and close the night out with the infamous Taz. I've listened to this brother on streams. I was actually on a panel with this brother, with my man Q Butter, a time or two, and I've heard a lot about you, brother. I hear a lot of shit, and I don't believe most of it. I tell people like, hey, I was on the panel with the brother. I like this brother. that's what I think. I like this brother. So before we get started, won't you just go ahead and tell people who you are and what you're about before I, start my round of questioning?
Well, shit, man. I'm Taz Exclusives, man. I consider myself nobody on YouTube, man. I mean, for real, like, I'm like people that know me. They know what I stand for. You know what I mean? Like, people build these images on YouTube and shit, and they try to like sell who they are. And you know what I'm saying? I just don't want to be guilty of that. And so I can almost promise you that what you see with me is what you're gonna always get. That's just me. I'm never gonna be anybody different. I don't pander. I don't play games for attention. I don't troll. You know what I'm saying? Like I disagree, and usually it's outwardly and openly. You know what I mean? And so I just consider myself a regular person, man. But like a lot of people like I rub people the wrong way sometimes. And like I say, if you sound silly to me, I'm gonna tell you sound silly. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's where a lot of the problems come in with some people. You know what I mean? They don't like to be called out. They want to talk about accountability, but doesn't want it to apply to themselves.
Well, let's go ahead and get into that. Why do you think? Why do you think you rub certain people the wrong way? Do you think it's your style? Do you think it's, because your confidence, your voice? I mean, what do you think it is about you that rub all these different, quote unquote YouTube personalities the wrong way? What do you think it is?
I honestly think that with the YouTube thing, man, is I'm saying something opposite of what's not only popular, but what's monetary. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fucking with the church's money, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I'm not pulling no punches. You know what I'm saying? Some of this shit niggas doing lame. I don't mind saying it. I don't mind explaining why. And like I said, initially I didn't view it correctly as that being monetary. I just thought it was niggas on here just like hating their people. You know what I mean? And so I hate my people so much I just talk shit about them and I wish I was white. That's how I kind of view people at first. You know what I'm saying? So as time has progressed, now I see it's more so people playing to the crowd that's listening to them. And so I don't know how much of this shit people even believe that they saying. You know what I mean? Like I'm more so where Gab saying like I agree completely with that. Like we have to understand this for more of what it is as a propaganda wing more so than what this nigga just said on his channel. Like that's irrelevant to the grand scheme of what we're looking at with YouTube.
I can go along with that. So, I mean, I listen to you, brother. And the crazy thing is you kind of remind me of my older brother, man. I guess that's why I like you so much. You got a similar style to my older brother. And I hear you talk and you come off straightforward. I mean, you're not part of the collective thinking process. I noticed that about you. You're not part of the collective thinking process. So, I mean, what's your background? I mean, what's your background? Did you come up in the rough streets? Did you, what's your background?
I mean, I came up in the streets by choice. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I wanted to jump out there, I jumped out there. Like I wasn't raised to be, you know what I mean, like that. Like I had a mom and a dad growing up for most of my childhood. You know what I mean? Like I 14 when my dad left. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of my life experience is pretty much black. You know what I'm saying? I like even because for example, I'll give you an example. I've always wanted to be employed. So when I was young, I'm working at UPS, but I'm me. And so I'm working at the billing site because, you know, I'm slick with the computers. I learned how to type in 1986 before computers was the big thing. So I've known how to type my whole life. So I type 120 words a minute. At the UPS billing site, I'm #1 in the country. You know what I'm saying? But I'm me. So, you know what I'm saying? Naturally, like, you know what I'm saying? The white people that like me. The motherfuckers that don't. So, long story short, new management come in. I lose my job. I try to stay down because I'm in Columbia, South Carolina now. You know what I'm saying? The company sent me there from Orlando. So I'm trying to maintain there, and I just couldn't. You know what I mean? A lot of my life experience is like talking myself into some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because like that confidence and shit, and you know what I'm saying, that outwardness, that has two levels. You know what I'm saying? The one level where you say what you want to say and you get it off your chest and you feel good about it, and can't nobody make you stop. But then the other level to it is it's not beneficial. You know what I'm saying? Everything I've lost in life was probably due to running my fucking mouth. You know what I'm saying? And when it's who you are, it doesn't matter if it means staying in jail an extra 88 days because you couldn't do the 3-for-1s down in the kitchen because you couldn't shut the fuck up talking back to the COs, or whether it's in high school getting suspended because you can't shut the fuck up and you're insubordinate every other week. You know what I mean? Like it's like a lifestyle that I like now don't feel like I should tell people to be. That's why I really you don't hear me talking to go out and fight the white man argument the way some others would, because I feel like that's what I've always done. I've never wanted to be a benefit to white supremacy. So even when I was working, I maintained myself. You know what I'm saying? My own self-image was always me. So if you think about now where I'm working as a property manager, keep in mind I'm still me. This is early 2000s. I'm going to that bitch wearing throwback jerseys, kicking it normal day. New motherfuckers walk in there. A company called AIM-Co bought it. And so I had been talking to this lady for weeks on the phone and shit. She was cool as hell. But when she came in and saw me, I think it fucked her up. I'm sitting there in like a Dan Fouts throwback Charger jersey. You know what I'm saying? In the office though, where I'm supposed to be in a shirt and tie. You know what I mean? But the corporate office never came there, so I never had to deal with that. And so I can't say I didn't have opportunities. You know what I mean? I know how I blew them, but I can't say I didn't have opportunities. Even as a felon, I've had opportunities and still had one again that this time I just didn't fuck up. So you know what I mean? Like, if you ask me who I was, I would say I'm a person that persevered. You know what I'm saying? I'm not into self-promotion. You know what I mean? So a lot of times you won't hear me talk about things I've done that's great, things that I've done to benefit other people. You know what I'm saying? I think that shit is lame. I think self-promotion is lame as fuck. And I know it's not conducive to a YouTube channel that you want to grow, but I've never been a person to self-promote. You know what I'm saying? I've always been about the collective, the greater good. Because when you come from that type of background where it's only y'all in y'all neighborhood, you know what I mean? That's all you know is that collective. And so I see my neighborhood as the world now. And like my people is supposed to be together, even when we not. Like, so like I say, even if I'm beefing with one of these niggas, it's not real. This is YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, this is a YouTube beat. And so, if anything I would want people to know about me, it would be that, man. Like, a lot of this shit don't be serious for me as it sounds, as it comes off. Because, like, you calling it a style, but that's just who I am. You know what I'm saying? It's not, because it's not pre-planned. This isn't pre-packaged. This is really who I am. Like, I don't want to sell you nothing. You know what I mean? Like, take it or leave it type shit.
Well, you said earlier that a lot of the people that are on YouTube and on media, they say a lot of things and you don't think that they believe it. Do you think that that is a thing on this YouTube stuff where, people can say whatever and put on this personality when they get on the microphone, when in reality, they really not about that. And they're only that way because, they're on YouTube. Do you think that YouTube has given particular people a personality?
I mean, shit, man. Yeah, hell yeah. Some of these niggas will tell you, bro. Like, I done talked to some of these cats and they fuck around, slip up and say some shit like, yeah, I'm glad, we got a voice to speak now, and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, this shit has not only created characters, but given people character. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that shit isn't conducive to a successful black community because, like I say, I think people think their corrective action on YouTube is equivalent to telling somebody this shit to their face. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's more of my issue with anything is the constant bashing that we see on YouTube. But these dudes that's doing this bashing aren't the ones that's out there with these cats that they talking about. And so I'm from that. When I moved to Cincinnati in 2002, I stood on that block 13 years with niggas I ain't know, bro. Like, of course, you know them over time, but I went there to get it on, bro. I had to do something different. You know what I mean? So when I went there, nigga, I went to the hood, though, to do it. I got me a black business started. Like I said, I ain't trying to sit here and talk about myself, but I went there, started me a little black business, and thrived in a black neighborhood around black people, niggas I didn't know. And I don't mean your suit and tie cats. I mean niggas. Niggas supported me. Niggas made sure I stayed on my feet, on my grind, and never wanted me in them same streets that they was in, bringing me that money they were making from the streets. So when I come to a platform like YouTube, and I'm hearing people shout out these so-called quote-unquote Pookie and Ray Rays are the ones who are ruining the community. Well, shit, no, dog. I just saw these niggas put together a football league so the kids can have a little league, football league, and play each other and take them out of the street element that's plaguing the last generation. You can't tell me that these niggas want to be part of this shit. That now, if you're already part of it and it's your lifestyle, I can't knock you for doing it. But I'm telling you from the inside, these niggas that don't want that for their kids. They don't want that for their kids. And so for me, like I say, I think that YouTube shit right there is people speaking about shit they don't know and don't understand. And that's what pisses me off with this shit, for real.
Well, what I've heard what I've heard about you, I've kind of disregarded because I've seen you myself. I've listened to you speak, and a lot of the characterizations that I've heard about you are just straight BS. And maybe I'm a little biased because you remind me of my brother. But um, do you think that oftentimes I'll ask you the same thing that I just got finished asking Brother Gab? Do you find that when you go, because there's a lot of different personalities on YouTube, people with different ideologies and pathologies, do you find that more often than not that you are the person who's going against the so-called collective of whatever's going on a particular channel?
On a channel, on a specific channel, a lot of times, yeah. But like I give you an example, like today. Today it was a topic on one of the dudes' channels that I really don't think I would ever agree with. That they said if you chase the money, you have success. But if you chase the women, you won't because the women chase you if you chase the money. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I've heard that all my life, and I kind of agree with that concept. But keep in mind, I don't usually agree with the concepts that come on this channel. So for me, it's not personal. What you have on TV today, I don't like it, and I'm able to sit here and say, dog, this some bullshit. You sound lame. But to me, that don't translate into we beefing now or I personally disrespected you. Nigga, this your channel. If you come on my channel and say you don't like what I got on that motherfucker, I might say fuck you, but I seriously doubt I'm gonna block you. You know what I'm saying? Because I would think that as I would grow as a YouTuber, I would want my content to be beneficial. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, I don't see a point in doing it. And I think a lot of people don't care if it's beneficial. It's got to be monetarily beneficial. You know what I'm saying? It don't have to be morally beneficial or educationally beneficial. It has to be financially beneficial.
Agreed. So where do you get your philosophies about things? I mean, I listen to you talk about politics. I listen to you talk about military. I watched a couple of your videos. That's one of the main things that hammered it home that made me want to have you on. I mean, where do you get your philosophies? Where do you get your political views and your views, of black folks? Where does it come from?
Well, I've been reading and fucking watching Jeopardy and fucking stuck in my room with no TV. My mom took my Nintendo. All I got is the encyclopedia in there. Like, that's how I grew up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get in trouble. She take my TV, my radio, my Nintendo, and all I would have is like, the uh, Guinness Book of World Records or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like factual shit. And so, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that led me to harping on facts all the time, but like I don't like necessarily philosophy because my philosophy, as far as a lot of the conversations I see on YouTube, are basically based on fact. And what people like to do is give you a philosophy based on belief on here. And what I like to do is bring about the factual information so we can talk about it from a factual standpoint. And I think we have a hard time doing that because a lot of us are programmed to believe what we think is true. And so I think for example, like because to directly answer the question, I think would be hard without an example. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't come on YouTube to be an educator. Keep in mind, I only came on a panel because it was an open panel and they were discussing the Colin Kaepernick thing and it was being presented falsely. That was the only reason why I ever got on a panel. You know what I mean? And so I don't like my philosophy is to make sure it's right, tell the truth, make sure it's contextually correct and understood. And if it isn't, correct me. You know what I'm saying? Because even though I'm gonna talk that shit, I'm correctable. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times I think people give up because I ain't just finna lay down either. If it's my philosophy, my belief, my understanding, nigga, I can stand on it. So we might be talking about it for 3 hours. But if you get through to me, nigga, you right. You understand what I'm saying? Like, but whatever I believe, whatever I stand on, nigga, I'm standing on it and I'm not standing on it blindly. You know what I'm saying? So if I dismiss it, like the way I dismiss feminism, well, nigga, I can't stand on feminism. I don't give a fuck about feminism. You know what I'm saying? But my stance as far as anti-military, yeah, I can stand on that for hours because that is my stance. That is a hardcore belief and an understanding I have, not just through the experience I've seen with others, but through study and research. You understand what I'm saying?
Got you. I got you. Do you have you ever been on a panel or in real life where you've had a belief or philosophy about something and you've heard something from somebody and it actually changed your view? Has that ever happened to you, whether in real life or here on YouTube?
It was pre YouTube, but it more so on Facebook because keep in mind my military stance is anti overall, but I was given an understanding of why a black man would go, and I respect that understanding. I respect to be able to go and get your education. You know what I'm saying? To be able to get your benefits. You know what I'm saying? And collect a pension and those things from it. I definitely understand why a black man would do that. And you're telling me you went to go do a job and you did a job, you came home, you straight. Well, shit, nigga, I have no qualms about that, and I understand that. But I think my issue is like I say, it's more deep than just the simple understanding of quote unquote anti-military. When I say anti-military, I mean in the realm of these people talking this white supremacy shit. Because a lot of people talk it, but then they'll like preach to other people from the same white supremacist standpoint. Because a white supremacist would want you to go to the military. Lyndon Johnson offered that to black people in the 60s. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's not a, that's not a new plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, to send us to the military is not something that I think is conducive to black prosperity. I just don't see that.
So what's your understanding? Because we always hear, everybody talks about white supremacy, the white supremacy boogeyman. What is your understanding of white supremacy? What do you think white supremacy is?
White supremacy to me would be the structure itself, the entire understanding of it, from the laws to the way they're carried out to the way people are judged. Um, Everything to do with the law, and then the media. Um, the media's foothold on people's minds is just something that is, I mean, it's unbelievable. So the concept to me is more mental than physical.
So do you believe that the bulk of us have fell under the influence of white supremacy, or do you believe that the bulk of us are fighting it? Did I lose them? I think we lost them, y'all. God damn it. I think we lost Brother Taz, y'all. I don't know what happened. I think we might have lost him. Brother Taz, you still there? I think we lost him, y'all. Damn it. Well, in the meantime, while I wait for Brother Taz to come back on, go ahead and hit these here likes over here somewhere. All right. What's good while you mad TV? I see you up there, brother. Y'all need to hit these likes right here, because y'all know I don't like when this number don't match this number. So go ahead, donate a like. And if you're feeling generous, go ahead and donate a few coins. Throw a few coins in the bucket if you're feeling generous. And I know you are, because, see, my listeners got that money. My listeners got that money. So go ahead, drop a few coins in the bucket. It's greatly appreciated. I don't know what happened to Brother Taz, y'all. He just dropped off. His icon was there, and he just dropped off just now. I don't know what happened. I was really enjoying the brother too, man. He reminds me of my older brother. He does. I mean, I don't have a problem. A lot of brothers have a problem with this brother. I don't. I've been on panels with him before. We got along just fine. So all that, I've heard people call him the Tasmanian devil and all this kind of nonsense. I mean, man, we gotta stop. Let me say something about that. I guess while he get his phone back together, whatever. Maybe his battery was dying or something. We gotta stop this old bullshit, man. You understand? We have to stop it, y'all. I mean, because it's just bullshit. The problem, what I think, I'm gonna give y'all my opinion, not that he can answer this for himself when he comes back on. What I think bothers people about Brother Taz more than anything else is that he doesn't flow with the collective thinking of whatever group he may find himself in. And I think that bothers people. I think that bothers people because he has no problem rubbing up against the collective, you know? I mean, I got a saying that I use all the time. I say I'm like a rhino. I run through the roughest of patches. And I think Brother Taz is like that too. He don't have a problem. He'll run through the roughest patch. He don't care what thorns is there or what are booby traps. He doesn't care. And I think that bothers people, man. It bothers the hell out of them. You know, it just does. You know, but like I said, I've been on panels with the brother before. We got along just fine. So I don't even know what the hell they talking about. Let me see. He's back. You back, brother?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to put my phone in the damn charge when I got in the car, man. I just got off work. My bad.
Well, I was you was in the middle of giving us the what you thought white supremacy was. Oh damn. I think I lost him again, y'all. He was here, and then I lost him again.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
No,
So
I'm here.
you want to finish explaining what you think white supremacy is, or you want me to go to the next question?
No, I finished that. Cause like I say, to me, it's the system. Like it's the system. It's not. I think a lot of people try to define it with people and with situations, but for me, white supremacy would be what's always been there. What started in 1776. The belief in that what's on paper, the belief in the Constitution, the belief in what a judge says, the idea that you can change things by voting. To me, that's what white supremacy is that the media that continues to push those ideas. To me, white supremacy is not much more than a belief, although we're outnumbered to as far as changing that belief system. That's something we're believing. It doesn't have to be that way. There are ways of changing it, but of course, those ways aren't favorable for us. So we kind of have to deal with the white supremacy belief system because it does exist, but it doesn't have to exist in our minds the way it does. I think a lot of times what we see and call out as white supremacy is really nothing to do with whites and white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, even Donald Trump doesn't represent white supremacy. He's a white dude. This system is going to be around when that motherfucker gone, and it was here before he came. So he might be a beneficiary. He might be a driver. You know what I mean? He might be somebody that's along for the ride, but he's not indicative of white supremacy. It was here long before him, and it'll be here long before he leaves. I mean, for after he's gone.
Do you think we as black people kind of use that too much? Do we use the white supremacy thing too much when we talk about, you know, our situation in this country?
Well, too much, cause see, like I say, it's there and it exists. Um, I don't think talking about it is the problem. I think not understanding what we should do about it is the problem. Like, and keep in mind, I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I think one huge problem is competing ideology. Because on one end, we're saying this white supremacy exists, and to what you're saying about is it an excuse? Well, we're saying it exists. So if we're saying it exists, then in that point alone, everything thereafter should be excused. But we don't do it like that. So its existence is sometimes meaningless because if we're not going to equate its existence to every aspect of life, how important is it to document it and call it out? If you understand what I mean, do you understand? Does that make sense?
Yeah, got you. I think I feel the exact same way. Um, often what happens, especially here on this YouTube thing, you know, I mean, because I'm kind of new to YouTube too. I mean, I actually used to be a radio guy. You come on this YouTube thing and you find yourself in particular circles or on a particular panel, and you know everybody in there kind of has, you know, pretty much kind of point of view, and when someone comes in with a different point of view, they are often attacked, you know, they're jumped on, whatever you want to call it. Is there any panel, I'll ask you this because I also asked the other brothers this too, Are there any panels that you won't go on? Is there any panel that you absolutely, if they were to invite you, say, hey, brother Taz, come on here, you'd be like, nah, man, I'm good.
No.
No?
Nah. Nah.
So what do you believe that there are people on YouTube here that are actually a detriment to black folks because of their speech, their rhetoric, whatever you want to call it? Do you think that there are people on YouTube that are an absolute detriment to black folks?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the reasoning why is the same reason, because for me, if this is taking over the TV, which I believe it is, I believe this is the new idea of what propaganda will be. A lot of people don't have cable and shit. This is their TV. And so if you're seeing BT 1000, why black women are so angry, black women this, red pill that, MGTOW, you know what I'm saying? Like, some of that shit is going to start resonating with people who it may not have resonated with before. And to me, that's destructive. You know what I'm saying? Like, destructive for me is simply splitting black men and black women in like in a sentence, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't think like that. So for me, it's as soon as you say black men, black women, you split black people. So, you know what I'm saying? My antennas go up already because, like I said, we're talking a propaganda wing. And if we're using this just in context of what the CIA has done, you know what I'm saying, with media, multimedia, Operation Mockingbird and such. If we look at that as a springboard for what we're looking at in the future, well, this is what our children will sound like. You understand what I'm saying? This is like, we've seen what media and propaganda can do for white people. We've seen it work for years and years. You know what I'm saying? So why would we use what little media we control to bash each other on openly? And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, even with myself, I had to check myself on some of the things I'm saying. Like, you know what? I got to make sure I start doing some shit that's not necessarily anti-black people, because I'm clapping at niggas, but that ain't what I'm here for. I'm doing what they're doing once I start calling them names and shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like they need to be called out, but I don't want to harp on it either. You know what I mean? Like, after I call you out a few times, like, shit. I mean, I probably call it out every time I see it, but for the most part, that shouldn't be our focal point, because if you want to push this bullshit, somebody just need to push you out the way. Somebody just need to get you out the way then. You know what I'm saying? Let you speak to a few other little motherfuckers that want to hear that shit. But the overall message need to be something positive and something that's going to bring black together and not divide it.
Well, what I've seen that has often happened, I think we overuse words. I mean, like, we overuse the word coon and simp and all that kind of stuff. And I've heard people use that term. So, I mean, the term is just so overused, those terms. And what has happened is, anybody who kind of, isn't like us or fall on a particular side, because I know a brother like you have a tendency to, you are somewhat neutral on some of the ideologies. You don't necessarily fall on the brother's side. You don't necessarily fall on the female side. So let me ask you your take on this quote unquote gender conflict, or do you believe there really is one?
Shit, I would say, when wasn't there one? You know what I'm saying? Like, because, I mean, again, you know what I'm saying? Like, dog, I'm from the block, man. I'm from where niggas call women bitches and bitches call niggas bitch ass niggas and say they ain't shit. And you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of this shit ain't a fucking gender war. It's YouTube highlighting, you know what? Let me say it like this. It would be the East Coast, West Coast war in the mainstream media. That's what the gender war is to YouTube. Okay, it's built up beef that's not real beef that can expose a lot of extra shit that's unnecessary and cause unnecessary friction. Because the black woman element of like being disagreeable, that was on Esther. You know what I'm saying? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, to me, there's no gender war. Men ain't supposed to be bothered by that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just my understanding. I don't try to make men understand it the way I understand it, but I do try to make them see the fact that this gender war not only is real in real life, but it's not just us. White women have been fighting white men since the goddamn country started. You know what I'm saying? So this idea of a gender war, I don't think is black. It's gender specific. It's men versus women. The idea of what is it, men from Mars, women from Venus or whatever. Like, I think that concept in itself is real, and we're highlighting an unnecessary quote unquote gender war.
So what do you think this does to black folks? What do you think? What do you think us trying to make the gender war specific to black society? What do you think that does to black society?
Shit, man, nothing. Get niggas some views and subscribers and clicks and shit. I don't think that shit matters in the grand scheme of life, because women are always going to be partial to women's issues and men will always be partial to men's issues. That's why even talking to some of the not so hardcore MGTOW type niggas, like, I see a lot in common with them because I'm not against them like that. They're somewhat just men's activists. Okay, I'm a man, so there's no way I can directly be against you. You're for male issues. I think it spills out in a negative and bitchy way. You know what I'm saying? But in the end, if you're standing up for men's issues like child support, like being put in jail for a domestic violence case you didn't commit, shit like that, you know, things that women have done to a man that she didn't have to do, and, you know what I'm saying, lied on him, shit like that. Like, I'm for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm with my black men on that. But like I said, there's a destructive element too that kind of goes unspoken of by that crowd. And so, like, that men's rights, men's activists, MGTOW type crowd, I end up into it with that crowd because of that. Because, you know, the other elements of your group speak for you and you're not able to shut them down. So, you know, stop trying to come and shut these women's channels down. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of let's see if we can shut down some of these fucked up voices that's been out here for 10 years before we try to come and shut down some women who got a year or two in. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's just about being fair. Don't come to me saying I'm a simp because I'm sitting on a panel with women and these women's channels are fairly new. And you're telling me these women are destructive. But I personally have talked to this dude, Tommy, on the phone. And, you know what I'm saying, I know his fucking platform. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you're not able to shut him down. I don't think you should be fucking with these women. And it's not about defending women or no shit like that. It's just the principle, dog. I'm a man. Let's get the men first. Let's get at these men. Let's get a couple of these niggas first. When you got to get them all? Let's get a couple of these niggas first before we just start pointing at women saying you're destroying the community. That's bullshit.
Gotcha. So let's talk about that. What would you want to see less of on the media, and what would you want to see more of?
I would like to see more debunking bullshit and negativity that we've been taught to believe and psychologically believe. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see less talk about wigs and hair and people's personal ideology and philosophies on why people act the way they act based on slavery and the Civil Rights Act. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to hear truth that leads me in a direction of where I meet the fork in the road and I decide which way to go based on the facts you laid out. I don't want you to tell me the way I'm supposed to go. And I have a real issue with that because to me, YouTube teaching seems to be that nigga, if you ain't going this way and listening to me, you obviously wrong and don't know what you're talking about. I'm more of a believer in presenting the facts and letting the person go where they may. You know what I'm saying? I want to let the chips lay on the motherfucking table, and the direction you choose to go in, I'll respect that because I know I gave you all the facts. But what I don't respect is trying to ram your ideology down my throat, and I can tell you why I don't want to believe it or adhere to it, and then you get mad and tell me I don't know history or I don't know this or I don't know that. You understand what I'm saying? I'm lost out here. You know, no. Let people make their own decisions based on the facts. And like I said, it's just a lot of it's too many philosophers out here, man. That's my biggest issue with YouTube. It's just too many philosophers.
Well, do you consider yourself a man of ideas? Do you consider yourself an intellectual, street scholar? What do you consider yourself as far as how you present things and how you speak with people? What would you label yourself as besides Taz?
That's interesting, man. I was tossing that around the other day, and so I have people that tell me I'm an intellectual. Then I have people that's told me I'm a prison intellectual. You know what I'm saying? Like my niggas, man, they used to tell me I was their mentor, man, and it used to make me feel good because they was grown men. And so, you know what I mean? Like, if anything, I would say I'm a man amongst men. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna try to fit in. You know what I'm saying? I might be the one in the crowd that don't want to go or disagree. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how it is, but it doesn't harm us any. It doesn't have a reflection on our relationship or where we stand. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm able to stand apart from the crowd yet still be a part of it, maybe even in front of it. You understand what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
You don't have to agree with me to roll with me. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to agree with you to roll with you. But unfortunately, I think that's where the YouTube thing is right now. If you don't agree with me, get the fuck off my channel. You know what I'm saying? Like,
um, so what are your favorite topics to talk about when you come on the stream? What would you rather be talking about besides, the stuff that you think there should be less of? What would you rather, when someone hits you up and say, Brother Taz, come on a panel, what would you want the topics to be if you could choose?
if I could choose, man, that's an interesting question.
Yeah,
So
I ask those from time to time.
if somebody, no doubt, if somebody asked me what I come on the panel and my dream question, damn, um, maybe a panel about black people not going to the military. Like that, like I think that would be because like right now that one is the most pressing on my mind that I'm hearing is this, I'm hearing a lot of black men on YouTube kind of push, black men in that direction. And I just think it's a bad move.
Wow. Well, I had a few brothers, because there was 9 of us, and I have like 5 brothers. And, a few of my brothers went to the military, a couple of my uncles, I come from like some military dudes in my family. I never had the interest in going, but I believe that it it serves a purpose for the people it can serve a purpose for. Um, I think that brothers who have some degree of military training can offer other brothers things. But see, the problem with that is this, right? I believe I'm a believer that these brothers who are military trained are the ones who could be in black society and training other black folks. But the problem is they're not doing that. They're not doing that. I mean, you hear the talk of it, but they're not doing it. So I think we should have these old veterans. I think these should should be the people because they have the training, they have the skill, they have the eye for the, I think these are the ones, but they're not doing it. So there lies the problem. You hear this talk of all this military stuff, but the people who are going to the military and coming home and are veterans, a lot of these veterans, because I've had veterans on my show where they're more concentrated on trying to get their benefits and get to the doctor and trying to have a place to live than they are concerned with, training other folks. So I'm with you to a point on that military thing. But on the other side of that, I think that oftentimes with the military, brothers go to the military because there are no other options. I mean, I talk to my wife about this all the time because I'm up and down the East Coast all the time. I'll be in New York, I'll be in Jersey, I'll be on Long Island, I'll be in Pennsylvania, and I'll be in the hoods, because we travel. And one thing I've always noticed, and I point this out to my woman all the time, they can be the worst of neighborhoods. And there could be nothing in those neighborhoods, but two things you always find in those neighborhoods: a liquor store and a military recruiting office. And I've always wondered why. Because, see, they know that for many people, that is the only option. And that's where I think the problem is. I think that it would be better if brothers had that option and other options. It's when that's the only option is when it becomes a problem. Do you have any relations with anyone that's in the, people in your family, or are you just, do you come from a long line of people who are just anti-military?
Nah, my uncles and my aunt, my brother, I know too many motherfuckers that went to the military. You know what I'm saying? Like in my case, that's what I'm saying. Like by the time my brother came back from the military, I was already shooting. I already knew how to defend myself. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit. Like I get the ideology behind it, but come on, man. Like we talk about this from a standpoint of a imminent war that nobody really wants to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like people like kick it out another 50 years, like, well, it might not happen in this lifetime. Okay, well, guess what, dog? Something to happen in my lifetime, whether it be me being successful within this construct of white supremacy, or we go ahead and get it popping. But y'all got to make up y'all mind because y'all confusing these kids, though, is my point. I don't care if we doing the military thing, but it can't be some 50-year down the road plan. Some shit that I won't live to see. I can't believe in that.
So what do you think so are you an idealist for what happens within the next 50 days? Or are you not concerned with what happens in 50 years?
Well, I like to think on the future within the confines of what I can personally control.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. So think that we do you think we in black society, do you think we romanticize shit too much? Do you think we romanticize the struggle? Do we romanticize white supremacy and this ultimate war where black folks are going to be standing off with white folks? Do we romanticize the struggle? I mean, as in your opinion, have we started to romanticize this stuff so much that we have drift off into fantasizing this stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you got people saying we need to break off into separate tribes of blackness and saying stupid stuff like that, I mean, bro, a lot of these niggas, bro, ain't niggas. A lot of these niggas are white boys that have a platform, that have some money that they can throw at platforms and be. A lot of these niggas dare not speak in the same room I'm in because they know I pull that white boy up out of it. And that's my issue with a lot of these cats, bro. A lot of these cats They're not black centered. They don't care about black people. They want to be a leader, the leader that they never was.
Yeah, I do believe that this media stuff, man, has turned people into because YouTube, everybody's got a network, everybody's got a everybody's got a TV channel, everybody's a star. So I think my man always says that a lot of us have that God Mike complex. Mike now, we got a God Mike complex. And I think that has hurt us, man. I really believe that has hurt us. I do. And I think it hurts the people who follow it too deeply, because it's easy. It's easy for this YouTube thing to become cult like to some people. Becomes kind of, it's all about what the leader says, even if the leader is telling you a bunch of BS. And anybody that rubs up against the leader, even if what the leader's saying is BS, that person will be ostracized, and marginalized. I think there's a lot of that going on, especially in black YouTube. And I don't know if that's actually reflective of real life, because I don't really encounter that in my life. So I don't know if that's reflective of real life, but it is how it is in YouTube. So because you're a YouTuber now, I see you got quite a few videos on your channel. So what is your goal on your YouTube channel? Like what do you want to present? I mean, what do you want people to hear, see, and learn from Taz?
Shit, that we all black and we need to be concerned with black issues. That some of this shit that people concern themselves with, chasing these women down and arguing about their platforms and trying to change people and break off into tribes and that type of shit. Like leave that type of shit alone. Like be black. Like fight from the standpoint of being black, and not on the standpoint of do this that I'm doing like me.
I agree, man. I totally agree. Man, it's been good chopping it up with you, man. I mean, this hour went by like that. It was good chopping it up with you, man. I'm gonna watch your stuff, man. I think your stuff is very, very interesting. I think you got a very interesting story, brother. I think often what happens when it comes to you, not to try to label you or nothing. I think a lot of people, I think they're just not used to someone who can come in there and go upstream. They're not used to the fish swimming upstream. They're not used to it. They're used to the fish kind of floating. And you come right up, man, and you swim upstream, man. And I think it's a wonderful thing, man, because I think we need brothers like that, like yourself, on YouTube, who go against the grain and can shake things up from time to time, because I think there's too much collective thinking on YouTube, and you're obviously not a collective thinker. I mean, and I think every freaking body knows that and understands that. They either accept it or they reject it. And I don't think black YouTube is any worse off for it, man. It's probably better off having brothers like you float around in it. So I mean, I appreciate you taking the time out to come on here tonight, brother. Um, I mean, I enjoyed this. Like I said, this hour went really, really quick. And you always welcome on the old T.P.O.T YouTube page, man. Anytime you want. I mean, just hit me up. You got my information now. You're always welcome, brother. Any last words before we peel out?
Nah, man, thanks a lot, bro. I subscribed and everything, man. Like I say, man, I'm in the YouTube streets, man, stopping by the channel, seeing what's going on. So I definitely check you out, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Oh yeah, I'll probably catch you on the next one, probably down on my man Q spot. That's my people right there. He actually knows me outside of YouTube. We actually hang out in real life. So, you know, anytime, man, you come through. Shit, maybe I'll shoot you an invite the next time I have OQ on, man. We can chop it up, man. All right.
For sure, man.
I appreciate you, brother, man. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, bro.
Peace. Yeah, man. This double header turned into a triple decker, man. Like, wow. You know, I had brother A-M-1, I had brother Gab, and finished up with brother Taz. You can't beat that. So y'all know y'all need to get them damn likes up just for that alone. 3 one-on-ones, 1 stream, 1 night, 3 heavy hitters in a row. Come on. Y'all know this is worth money. So, if you're feeling generous, go ahead and throw a few coins in the bucket. Because I say again, y'all know this is worth coin. But I want to thank y'all for coming out tonight. Man, this was heavy duty, man. I might have to go back and watch this tomorrow. I thank y'all for coming out tonight, man. You know, I appreciate y'all sticking up in here, watching. I appreciate the new subscriptions, all of that. I really, really do. I had a few people come in here that I don't usually see here. You know, a lot of unfamiliar names. Hopefully y'all went ahead and subscribe. God damn it. I hope you went ahead and subscribe. Yeah, man, this was heavy duty tonight, man. But what I want y'all to do is this. Y'all need to get on down there. Good looks, brother Gab. Hold up. I gotta read this super chat too. I saw it go up from my man M.O.T. M.O.T. said, unfortunately, we need to fully break off into separate tribes of blackness and see which ideology works and which don't. This is the only way. Interesting. Oh, good look again, brother Gab, on the super chat. Appreciate that, brother. But what I need y'all to do, I need y'all to get on down there to the Proper Thought series YouTube page. That's Proper Thought series. Not YouTube, excuse me, Facebook page. Proper Thought, one word, series, the next word on Facebook. It's a community page. Get on down there, follow the page, share the page, like the page. Go ahead and check out what's going on up there. You can always follow what's going on the platform, and you can catch up with me down there as well. You can actually leave me a message. I always answer my messages within 24 hours. So go ahead, leave me a message and check out what's going on there. You can always stay up to date with what we're doing here on this platform, on that page as well. Also, go on over to the T.P.O.T bandwagon page. Now, that's a personal page. You can actually send that page a friend request. I'll make sure that friend's request gets clicked back quick. And while you're doing that, head on over to the old Proper Thought Series fan group page. That's right, the Proper Thought Series fan group page on Facebook. We at like 2,800 members now. The last time I checked, go ahead, request to be a member of the fan group. You're sure to get accepted. I know a couple people had wrote me and said they couldn't get in the group. Don't worry about it. I took care of it. I talked to my admins. It's all good. Go ahead, request to be a member to get in the group. I'll make sure you get in there. If you have a hard time getting into the group, just let me know. I'll get in contact with my admin, and I'll make sure to get your black behind up in there. So get on down there to the Proper Thought Series fan group page. There's all kind of stuff going on there. You can see what's going on there as well, what's going on here. And like I always say, there's many people in the group, so you ain't just got to listen to old X bump his gums. There's other people down there bumping their gums as well. Also, catch up with us on WhatsApp and Instagram. That's right, Prophet of Thought on Instagram. Go ahead, follow us on Instagram. You're guaranteed to get a follow back. And here we go. Get on down there to the old Twitter page. The Twitter handle is at T.P.O.T Media on Twitter. That's at T.P.O.T Media on Twitter. Go ahead, follow us on Twitter, or I will haunt your ass until New Year's night. Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I also want to thank you for watching tonight and spending some time with us. I want to thank everybody who donated to the channel tonight. It is greatly appreciated. Also, I want to thank all the people in the chat and my moderators, always up there doing what they supposed to do. It is greatly appreciated. And once again, I want to thank my most distinguished guest that came on tonight, Brother A-M-1, Brother Gab Talk, and Brother Taz, for giving us a good stream tonight. Go on down there. If you look down here in the description box, you can see the links to their channels. I don't know if you're watching live or you're watching on the playback. All of these brothers have a lot to offer, and they have very interesting points. Their views are not the conventional, but you're guaranteed to learn something from the nuggets that they drop. So get on down there, subscribe to their channels, and check them out. All right? So with that, and oh yeah, almost forgot, tomorrow, have your black behinds here tomorrow, because tomorrow on DXL is going to be a very special DXL. I'm actually going to have Chris Smith on tomorrow from the League of Dads, and we are going to be talking about child support. He's going to be giving a report on child support. I think y'all going to like this brother. Brother Smith, very high energy. Like I said, he runs League of Dads, and he knows all the ins and outs of child support. Not only does he run an organization, he's been through it by experience, and we'll be taking your questions. Okay, we're going to be finding out some of the dark truths about child support court and family court, and he's going to be teaching brothers about what they can do to kind of circumnavigate their way through this whole child support mess. So make sure you have your black behinds here tomorrow, because tomorrow, if you going through some type of child support nonsense, you want to be watching tomorrow, because the man from League of Dads will be right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page, home of DXL. So make sure you have your behinds here tomorrow, my brothers. So anyway, with that, I will leave you with 3 words. Like I always do, open your minds. And we are out of here, y'all.
The Prophet of Thought series.
Peace, folks.
Prophet of Thought series. Prophet of Thought series. Open your mind. in your minds.